Hey, 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 howdy everybody. Good morning, you all. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, all. Good morning. It's the wintertime and stuff right now. It's really cold. Actually, it's not cold here. It's like 60 fucking degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, welcome in everybody to the 97th day in a row of the Apostate Ape show. Welcome in, welcome in. This is the channel where we debate Christians and every now and then a Hebrew Israelite. And this is the 97th day in a row of it. So welcome back, welcome through, welcome in. I'm sure today will be no exception and be the amazing, informative, and deconstructive show that it is. This is the channel where you can watch an undereducated hick from Alabama perform an intellectual takedown of the Christian faith, doctrine, and logic for your entertainment. Also to make the world a better place, because the Abrahamic religions pretend they're making it better when they're probably making it worse. Actually, they are making it worse. Anyway, y'all know our best friend is Dr. Joshua Bowen, the brilliant scholar with a PhD from Johns Hopkins, who writes books like this to help lay folks like me become well informed and learn ancient Hebrew. That's pretty cool. Volume 1. You can get this on Amazon yourself, and it's great. What did I say? Sorry. Brief interruption here. There wasn't any Bible during the time of Moses or until after Jesus' time, if that's what you mean. Not sure why that's important to anything. Anyway, Dr. Josh, you can help out him and his wonderful family by supporting them by purchasing and learning some of the stuff that he puts in his books. He has many books. He literally wrote a book on slavery in the Hebrew Bible, which is pretty amazing. It comes up quite often here, obviously. Slavery, somewhere slavery. Yeah, I touched the one. Sorry. Yep. Also, don't forget, the Rocket City Reason Conference is coming up this October 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and you can come hang out with the coolest debaters on the planet, which are atheists also, for the most part, and chill with us for 3 whole days in October in Huntsville, Alabama. Isn't that going to be cool? You can get your tickets for that at rocketcityreason.com and come hang out with the coolest motherfuckers that ever lived. And of course I'm one of them, for sure. Anyway, we are about to fire off day number 97 in a row. I'm almost there, y'all. Almost there to 100 consecutive days, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, obviously, but honestly, not obviously, but anyway, what a journey this has been, man. We have been debating, master debating some Christians' brains out all day, every day. It's pretty amazing. And there's going to be many more days to come, I hope. Like tomorrow, where we will do day 98. Every day brings something new. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, hopefully we're changing some hearts and minds and unconfusing the confused who thinks they are not confused and everybody else is. It's, feels pretty good in the my little redneck heart that I got. But anyway, let's get this show started today. If y'all are watching this right now, please continue tapping that screen for me. The algorithm is, as usual, been sluggish as fuck. It's only been a few minutes, but I don't know. Used to be hitting 150 right now. We haven't even hit 100 yet, but it's nobody's fault. The engagement's off the charts. The audience here is incredible, as usual. Atheist and Christian alike, or, Hebrew, whatever you are. I say it all the time, If you're an atheist and you think I am absolutely crucifying the Christian arguments up here, welcome in, enjoy. If you're a Christian and you think I'm getting cooked by the Christian arguments, then welcome in. Enjoy. Little bit for everybody here to enjoy. Ain't that, yep. Jesus saves lives. I'm afraid he doesn't. Jesus lies is what he does, not saves lives. He lies. That's the correct way to look at that there. Cleaver, what's up? Or I mean, Clever, what's Cleaver? Cleaver be here. Yes, Jesus hates and wastes lives. You know, if they're not like Israelites or something. Everybody else is the dogs. The dogs, especially the women. Could not know that because he calls a woman a dog who's a Gentile. Not very Jesus-y, in my opinion. Yeah, I say I'm just a bad reader, man. Please don't hold it against me. I read with a 6th grade reading level. Because that's the last grade I completed. Or 7th grade, I mean. Oh, 7th grade, sorry. I made it to 7. Which, of course, you know, reflects my brilliance. Anyway, we are just getting started today. So I am ready if you are. If you are a Christian and you want to come have a conversation about one of these topics up here, we would love to talk to you, because I got a new one today that I thought was pretty interesting. Not sure anybody will even address it or how it'll be taken. But if Christians are sinners, how will you know them by their fruit? So the Bible says you will know the godly, loving Christians by their fruit. But if all Christians are sinners and they're committing sin, how can you tell? Like, so certainly people who... There's got to be like some sort of standard there, I would think. But anyway, I have no prep on that. Don't have anything witty planned out to say. I'm generally curious how people might answer that question there, if they so choose to address that topic specifically. I know plenty of Christians that got great fruits. It's just not because of Christianity. It's just because they're awesome people. Very charitable folks with a very charitable nature. They would probably be doing the same thing whether Christianity was a thing or not. Except they're Christians and they do it for Jesus. It's not actually Jesus doing anything, though, obviously. Dead people don't do anything. And imaginary gods don't support and comfort you. 40 days straight, I'm having a global flood over there. It's like God came down and flooded the earth. I have to build an ark over there for long. That much rain. It does suck. There is no truth in any Bible, even in the Ethiopian one. Actually, I take that back. There's a few truths in there, but not the truths that it's peddling, that's for sure. For example, the Bible peddles that slavery's okay. And I don't think it is myself, so. Yeah, grab us some pitchermen. If you get some pitchermen, I'll come help you. If you can get your hands on some pitchermen, let's build a dang ark. I agree with that. Most holy books are. Master tiger. Real ass tiger, fake ass habitat. This is not a drill. Got a real ass tiger and a fake ass habitat wondering, am I even a real tiger? I don't want to feel like a tiger. Maybe I'm just some vicious ass koala bear or some shit. I gotta remember that with Cat Williams. He got eaten by the tigers. They said they gonna blame the tigers. Oh man, that shit was funny. Anyway, looking for debates today. The algorithm seems to be ticking up a bit there, so that's cool. Undoubtedly, we'll get somebody to talk to here today, of course. Real ass tiger, fake ass habitat. Anyway, guys, welcome through. Starting to build up a little bit here now. It's barely not even been 10 minutes yet, so this is usually the path we drive up in the mornings, ain't it? Now, the newly driven path there. What up, my dog, my man, the biggest supporter of the channel. That's him right there. Welcome in, buddy. Yeah, I've tried it before. It really didn't seem to do much good viewership wise. Uh, Actually, I've been considering doing that a little more like toward the ends when it's harder to get somebody, but I don't know. It's messed me up a few times. I was talking to somebody else, and then somebody else pops up when I need to talk to them, and then they don't kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of a mess. So I'll probably just keep it strictly to opposition for the most parts, I reckon. Clever, thanks so much, buddy. I appreciate that. I almost forgot that was my goal this morning until I seen that. That's fucking cool. Thank you, man. There's my man Rick. What's happening, Sanchez? Sanchez. What's up, buddy? What's up? What's going on? I think it took him like, I don't know, 300 years or some shit. You know, typical lifespan for Bronze Age desert dwellers and stuff. What up, Precious? Hello, welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're all doing well. Day 97 coming up, man. Coming up. Day 97 coming up. Jesus heals. What's he heal? Sometimes parts of me feel that old. Anyway, Christians, come on up and talk with us. I'm the nice atheist around here. No mute button for the most part. Even though I will interrupt if I need to. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus heals. Jesus, Jesus heals. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus heals. Jesus, 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 the Christ. The non-Messiah. The non-anointed Christos. The Christos who was never anointed. Huh? Oh, never mind. I was a little confused there. Sorry. Nobody's fault. Dang. Mary Smith, I see you requested up. I don't think that was on purpose, though. If it was on purpose, let me know. I can't remember if I was thinking you're not a Christian. You can let me know in the comments if you are, though. Otherwise, we'll wait on it. Waiting on the Christians to come talk to us today. Like I said, sometimes I've made a few of these topics like this where there were some outliers that was really interesting, but it was hard to get people to bite them. Probably because they don't know how to answer. So. I'll take anybody for the most part. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the Philbros particularly, and the people who do straight up apologetics are very hard to tolerate sometimes. Yeah, I mean, kings are usually anointed. So, like, who else would be one? Oh, Queen Elizabeth, she would also be an anointed one. She was anointed by God. In the square of the Tower of Babel? No, that ain't it. Which one's in England? It's the, what's that tower in England they torture people in and stuff? I can't remember now. Yeah, that one. I'm pretty sure it's the Tower of Babel, but that don't sound right. But yes, the Tower. I know, thanks, man. But yes, that's correct. Yes, that's it. The Tower of Babbling. Made some chocolate milk this morning. It's delicious. Anyway, Christians, come on up. We got the usual topics running, plus an extra juice. Some extra juice up there anyway. What would think of something to talk about if we don't get some damn opposition here to talk to? Let's see. Which little lesson was I doing that one time? Oh, shit. Well, if you weren't in prison in there, it probably didn't seem too bad to you, I would imagine. Anyway, if you are a Christian or a black Hebrew Israelite, come on up and conversate with us. It'll be fun. Oh, yeah, I'll go here. I'll go. It's kind of normal. Kinder normal. Let's see. We got one. Let's see. Perhaps. Daniel was not there. Yikes. Somebody said something gross. Slavery saved the Irish. Huh. Must be a Christian. Never actually figured out what a POSFF is. I know what a POS is, but I never actually learned the actual meaning of that word. I can sort of discern its meaning from the context, though. Thing to pop up on there. Anyway, we are looking for debates, looking for conversates. So if you're a Christian or a black Hebrew Israelite, the conversation is yours. The floor is wide open. So you can be the first guest of the day today. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see.
What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, Jay? Welcome back, buddy.
How you been doing, bro?
Doing all right, man.
That's good.
What you want to talk to us about today?
Kind of the first point on your list. The like all does that say all Christians are sinners? Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, it says if Christians are sinners, how do you know them by their fruit?
Okay.
You know what I mean by the question?
No, that was interesting. Yeah, explain.
Well, like the Bible says, you'll recognize who the Christians are by their fruit. Means the people that are like not sinners or being righteous or whatever you count as good fruit in the Bible, I guess. But anyway, Christians all claim they're all sinners. So if all Christians are sinners who are sinning, how do you discern which ones are the good fruits and which ones are the bad?
Yeah, I see
like
what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. So that's a good question, actually, because I think Christians have I think Christianity has a lot of like false doctrines in it. And I think the thing that they're talking about is like when Christians like say they're always sinning. I think that's that's because they believe they're sinners. Like they believe they're like sinners by nature. But anyway, uh, I don't believe we're sinners. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't believe that. I believe we still sin once we believe, but I don't believe we're sinners. So,
how are you not a sinner if you're actively sinning?
because once you become a believer, you're washed clean of your sin.
So you're not sinners.
Yeah, we're not sinners in God's eyes anymore.
Oh, okay. So if you murdered somebody, that wouldn't be a sin in God's eyes?
It would be wrong. It would feel bad to us, but God, So if I like if I took someone's life in self-defense, that would be wrong. No.
No, I didn't. No, I meant murder, not self-defense. That's like a justified thing. Well, I mean, Jesus says to turn the cheek and never resist an evildoer. So, I mean, maybe even that's not supposed to be done. I don't think you're supposed to defend yourself according to Jesus.
No, Jesus also said to take up your sword.
Well, it's a metaphorical sword, though, right?
No.
Oh, a literal sword, like
Yeah,
a crusader.
no. What do you mean,
Uh,
crusader?
you know, like the Crusades.
I don't believe that was sanctioned. I don't believe I don't believe that was from God. So I don't care about really
Oh,
about the Crusades,
oh. Well, how do you know what was from God and what's not?
because the way I look at it is the things that happen in the Bible are unique to the people in the Bible, meaning they only apply to them in the certain contexts that certain things like the conquest of Canaan happened and all those things happened. Those were subjective. Well, not subjective, but they were they were specifically, specifically happening with the people in the Bible. They don't really apply to anything outside of the Bible. So when like the Catholic Church was thinking they were doing the will of God, they weren't.
Oh, well, were the Israelites doing the will of God when He told them to go unalive everybody?
Yes.
So, murder in the Bible. Sorry, I heard a loud cheer there. Uncle Creepy, thank you so much, dude. Thank you. That's incredible. All right, so God orders certain people to murder other people, but if God orders people to murder people outside the Bible, that wasn't from God, is what you mean?
Absolutely. All the things that happen in the Bible are subjective to the people that happen to them in the Bible.
Well, what about the murder and grape and stuff in the Bible?
Okay, none of that's wrong.
It was okay murder?
Well, that wouldn't be murder.
Well, it's murder if it's unjustified, unalignment.
Nothing got none. Yeah, none of that is unjustified.
Oh, you just mean if God does it, it can't be bad, right?
Yeah, because God is ultimately just.
Oh, okay. So it was justified that God had babies' brains bashed out in Babylon, right?
Yeah. So
And so obviously then you're okay with like slavery and stuff too, since God allows it, right?
just like when a cop arrests a criminal, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, no, this is just talking about slavery, about owning people as property. God permits that. He even says you can sell your daughter as a slave.
Yeah, that's in the context that happened. Yeah, God. Yeah, that's what's the problem.
Well, I mean, I just have a problem with, people selling their daughters as slaves. But I mean, maybe that's just me. If God's okay with it, I'm sure that's fine with me. So, what about when God orders the Israelites to sacrifice their firstborn son to Him?
Wait, what?
What about when God orders the Israelites to sacrifice their firstborn son to Him? That's cool too.
When did He do that?
It's in Exodus 22 and Ezekiel chapter 20. I mean, how
I'm
bad
not
can
a
this be? Like, you're okay with selling your daughter as a slave and stuff. So, I mean, this is this that much worse than that?
yeah. That again, I don't. That wouldn't like whether I'm okay with it or not doesn't really affect anything right now. So, uh,
Yeah, but I mean, why would you be okay with slavery and baby murder and child sacrifice? It just sounds really, really horrible.
um, so yeah, I don't really. I don't like I said. Um, yeah, like I said, bro, it isn't really what I think is good or bad.
Well,
So,
I mean, God thinks all this stuff's good. That's what we were talking about, right? You said if God allows it or does it, then it's good automatically and
well,
just.
God doesn't actually do anything in the Bible.
Yeah, but you said if He allows it or whatever, then it's just or all that.
Yeah, whatever God, God is ultimately good no matter what.
Right. So when He commanded like selling your daughter as a slave and slavery and baby murder and sacrificing children, like they thought that was all good stuff, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. 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 This is why I do the show in case there's any like Christians out there on the fence. Like, I want them to hear people say what you have to defend as a Christian to hold such a position. You have to say that child sacrifice and slavery and baby murder is okay. Just God being God, doing His thing.
yeah. I
Are
mean,
you are you actually okay with slavery, or are you just like defending the Bible?
I don't believe. Yeah, I believe slavery as a form of punishment is not evil.
It's not evil. Okay. Well, you heard it there, folks. Slavery's not evil. Baby murder's not evil. Child
I want to
sacrifices.
wait. I want to know how you're coming up with what is evil and what isn't evil.
Evil is defined as profoundly immoral or wicked acts and causing intentional harm. So I say God is evil because I think murdering a baby is always evil, no matter what, because you are causing the baby the ultimate harm. Same with slavery and stuff, same basis of health and harm. I certainly
Again,
don't want to be made into a slave, so I certainly won't allow other people to do it if it's in my control.
I mean that's just your subjective opinion, brother.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you can't really say that's a fact.
didn't say it was. I said I just think it's evil. And it is, you're right, it's my subjective opinion. I just feel a lot better about myself and like sleeping at night when I can condemn slavery and baby murder and other people have to defend it like it's a good and loving thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of weak on your side, bro.
I mean, yeah, I hear you. That's just like your subjective opinion, but I get it.
It's not my subjective opinion.
So I'm weak because I won't say that murdering babies is okay. Like, what
Yeah,
did you mean by that?
the way you look at the world doesn't support your moral stances.
My moral stance is that it's never okay to murder babies and own people as property. It's my moral stance.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
I know, but yours is that an imaginary person in the sky says slavery and baby murder is okay, and you're okay with it because of that. So I think I'm actually way better founded than you are right now in my moral beliefs.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're not actually. You have no grounding for your stances.
And right, well, maybe not, but your grounding would be that God says these things are okay, right?
Of course.
So if God told you to bash a baby's brains out, would you do it?
He wouldn't say that.
Well, what if he did?
He doesn't.
What if he did?
He didn't.
He did.
That's
He
yeah, but
commanded the
that's
maids to do it. He commanded the maids to do it to the Babylon. So why wouldn't he command you to do it to somebody?
because that's a case subjective. That's case subjective in the Bible.
Oh, well, wouldn't you rather say slavery was okay in the Bible, but not now? Like you're not okay with it?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, bro. Again, I don't see where you just reading a definition of what evil is doesn't prove that it's evil. So
I know. Hey, you got me. I'm cooked there, Jay. Dr. Machine, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. This guy
Oh,
is so
sorry,
cooked
just
in
a
the
second,
brain.
Jay. Oh yeah. Are you a Christian, Dr. Machine?
No, I was just coming up to tell him that he's completely wrong if he thinks that the only way to ground moral objectivity is through some omnipotent, omniscient, tri-omni God. That there's plenty of ways that philosophers can do this, or just people in general can do this. And I'm going to drop after this so you can continue cooking him. Oh, well, he's gone.
Oh, I'm dropping him anyway. I think all that's been said is or all that's needed to be said was said.
Bro, I mean, just insane. But yeah, you did a great job, and he was crazy, obviously, but keep up the good work,
Honestly.
man.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Do you watch Planet Peterson by chance?
Not really. I watch this. My profile picture is from Creature Commandos, if that's what you're asking.
I was just curious. If you know Planet Peterson, he actually did like a 5 of the worst people of the year or something.
Oh,
That guy
no.
was at the top.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was
insane.
funny.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
I'd rather.
recognized him on there. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, peace.
Oh man, how crazy is that? Oh, J, Mr. J. Oh yeah. Well, hey, at least the man's honest. Like, what else can you say for real? Hey, I mean, if you believe something, I would tell people like, don't be afraid to say it. The problem is, you might believe something that you might not should be saying. Just saying. Just saying. Oh shit, I thought we had another one. Damn, but we don't. Yikes. Oh wait, maybe we do. Maybe we don't. Let's see. Crap. Amir, I'm trying. For some reason my thumb or screen does not want to cooperate with me. Oh wait, here we go. Hey Amir, you there?
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? Are you over 18?
Yeah, follower of Jesus Christ, man.
Awesome. So which one of these topics you want to talk about?
Um, we can do the first one. If all Christians are sinners, how will you know them by their fruit?
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, I don't have any script prepared for anything. That's just a random question, so I don't. It's a good one to
well,
discuss,
I mean,
I think.
so like, yeah, we can talk about that. I have some scriptures in mind, but like, what made you fall away? If you don't mind me
Uh,
asking.
just scrutinizing the religion and the problems in the Bible.
You seen it was a lot of error.
A whole lot of things, actually. It's a lot of error. It gets its own theology wrong. You can't really even follow certain parts of it. You have to discard something. But either way, the God of this book here is not worth worshiping, in my opinion, honestly. So I stopped doing it.
Okay.
But
Alright,
yeah,
so
this is what I was really curious about for the day on the like if all Christians are still sinners, how would you know them by their fruits if everybody's still sinning?
yeah, so You would know them by their fruits, depending on, if they're walking by the Spirit. Now, obviously, the Christians are, even myself, we're still sinners because of our sinful nature as, in the flesh. So, in the Bible, it gives some good descriptions about the type of fruit you would see by the Spirit versus what you would see by the flesh. Do you want me to read that to you, or?
Well, no, I know what it says.
Okay,
Could you give
okay.
us an example of what like walking with the Spirit would mean? Like, how would you see that in somebody and be able to identify that and be like, oh yeah, they're definitely a Christian?
Yeah. So you'd be able to tell if they have if you're looking for fruit in a Christian, um, based on like what the Spirit shows. So let me show you. Let's see. And like you said, you probably already know it, but I'll go with it. Like when somebody is walking with the fruit and you're able to tell them by their fruit, you will get a revealance of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, a lot of people do struggle to keep all these fruits, but like that's how you would know them by their fruit. Um,
Can you say that little list again? You're a little bit quiet.
love, joy,
Joy,
peace, their
peace,
patience, their
patience,
kindness, their goodness,
kindness,
their faithfulness,
goodness,
their
faithfulness,
gentleness, and self-control.
self-control.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So if somebody does all that stuff, you can confidently identify them as a Christian, right?
It's not about like, a checklist or them doing all that stuff. It's more showing by how much they've been remaining in Jesus Christ and to his teachings that it just kind of like it just shines out, like for me, and I'll be honest, like, I do think these, descriptions when I walk by the Spirit resonate with me, but I know I need to work on my patience. That's one of the things I need to work on. So how that works is, when you're remaining in the main vine, the bad fruit has to get uprooted as well too. So it's like it's all a process. It's not like, the moment you accept Jesus Christ in your life and, this is what goes by. That's a misconception. It's a lifelong journey,
So essentially, you really can't tell them by their fruit. It just depends on if they've hit that point or not in their Christianity.
Um, I wouldn't say you can't tell. I mean, like you would just have to like have an interaction. Like you never interacted with somebody and just thought like, man, are they are they Christian? Like you never just had that interaction before?
No, not really.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I see it's on the same side. Like I know devout Christians who are what I call horrible, horrible people. There's a few of those.
oh
And then
yeah.
there's a few that I know that are incredible people. So I mean, how do I distinguish which one's the real Christian when they're both essentially doing and believing the same thing?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's a lot you can tell. That's how you would tell by the fruit. You kind of just basically pointed it out. You will see that if one confesses that they're a Christian, but they don't exemplify that and they're walking by the flesh, then that's how you will be able to tell. Now, it's not to go into that deep idea of what is it? I think it's Gnosticism. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that's how you say it. Um, but it's a belief where everything spirit is good and everything materialism or flesh is bad. Um, that's an entirely different thing than what the Bible, goes with. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, what I'm really trying to figure out in that is if like say you use those 9 criteria you gave earlier. Say somebody's missing 3 of them. So like I would be within my rights to say, well, they're not doing all those things that it said they should be doing. So
No,
clearly
no,
they're
no,
not a
no.
Christian. But like, I'm figuring out if there is, in fact, a way to know them by their fruits. Like, is that's a Christian right there? Because this is what the Bible tells you. It says you'll know them when you see them. So I'm trying to figure out like what it's talking about
Yeah, no,
because
and
I know a
and
guy who's a Christian and he married a divorced lady.
mm, and that's the thing. Like it's so, and I'm guessing you're from America too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Western society Christianity is it's definitely cooked in a lot of ways. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of prosperity teaching. They a lot of times in churches they don't get at some of the main points. They kind of, you know, like they look at some of the people that come to the church like clients. So not a lot of people are getting the right teachings. But there's a lot more reasons why there are a lot of, people who say they believe, but don't necessarily follow. And Jesus Christ has a lot of teachings about that. But I want to be clear on something. Like, these are not like criterial things that, oh, if I don't have this, then I'm not this, like that doesn't separate you from the love of God.
Yeah, but I'm saying it doesn't identify you to the other people as a good fruiter, right? That's what I'm saying. Is there actually a Christian out there who actually follows what Jesus taught?
I mean, like everything, there could be. I mean, if you're
I mean,
talking,
according
if
to
you're
God,
looking,
all this stuff is supposed to be really easy for people. It's not even supposed to be hard to do, but it seems to be quite the colossal task.
well, and that's the point. It's all through Romans as well, and just through Scripture, it talks about wearing the coat of Christ. So it's in our sinful nature, like even the Apostle Paul himself, he never stated what sin, but he talked about the things that he didn't want to do, he was doing, describing his sinful nature in the flesh, which is why we're called to wear Christ's coat and meet that standard of perfection in God's eyes, not our eyes. So perfection is two different things when it comes to what we believe it is and what God believes it is. We're perfectly we're really seen as perfect when we have Christ in us, or wearing his coat, you know.
You mean perfect to God, not perfect to other people, right?
Yeah, perfect to God. Our standards of perfect and what we think is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying it's different when we're talking about the Bible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, like I said, I don't feel like we're getting anywhere with how to identify anybody with their fruits. That's what I was really curious about.
Well,
Like, because the Bible says you will know them by their fruits. He's talking to like all the people watching them, right?
yeah, and
So, like, I'm trying to figure out what that fruit is. What do you see that identifies that? But it seems to be really hard to actually figure out.
mm, well, I mean, I just explained to my brother, but let me see if I can try to help you out a
Well,
little
I
bit.
mean, well, it sounded like you said you really, it sounded more like you were agreeing with me, is what I thought.
Agreeing with you?
Yeah. You can't identify somebody with their fruits. There's no way to do it.
Well, I mean, I was agreeing with the fact that you kind of already did, and you were agreeing with me because you said you run into Christians that sometimes are good, and you run into some that are, say they Christian and they are horrible. That is the way you
Yeah.
identify them by their fruit.
Yeah, but but no, I'm saying you can't. They're both Christians.
No, well, okay, so that's the thing. What it means to identify somebody by their fruit, that also means it's more of a testing thing. You will know who's basically is what he's saying is you will know who follows me just by how they love each other and just by how they love you and just by not only just love but if they show the fruit. Now it's not all the fruit, like you can't just show all the fruit in one single interaction, like that doesn't make any sense, but that's what I'm saying. You already seen the two difference between who has the fruit, who has the right fruit and who does it. The one who calls himself a Christian and is horrible, and the one
Well,
who
they're both Christians though. They both do amazingly good stuff. But like I was saying, the one guy married a divorced woman. This is clearly against the teachings of Jesus.
well, I mean, then he doesn't, follow. But I don't think that. Hmm. Let me think before I say something, just so I can
And
make
one
sure,
time
right?
I asked him if I could borrow $5, and he wouldn't give it to me.
Okay, that's that's
It's
if he
against the
didn't.
teaching. Jesus says, if anyone asks of you, you let them borrow.
I get that, but then you gotta consider like the whole Bible. If did he have the opportunity to provide in that moment, or he just wouldn't give it to you?
Yeah, I asked him for $5. He's got plenty of money.
So you think that just doesn't make him a Christian?
Well, Jesus says if anybody asks of you, let them borrow. So if he doesn't do that, then he's going against what Jesus told him to do. Not to mention he married a divorced woman, and according to Jesus, that's straight up adultery.
And that was I'm pretty sure the Apostle Paul touched on the topic of marriage more than Jesus did. But no, I see what you're saying. Okay, well, if that's the case, then you think Jesus would have sent that guy to hell for not giving you $5?
I mean, if God didn't forgive him, I guess. But Jesus says it's the sin of adultery. So the guy's committing adultery. The punishment for adultery is being stoned to death.
No, I was talking about the $5. I'm gonna get right with you on the adultery side.
Oh, the $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like God unalived a guy for picking up sticks on the Sabbath. I would think Jesus wouldn't have no problem sending somebody to hell for not letting people borrow. There's quite a few passages about that actually.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean,
Right.
these are the things Jesus is telling you have to do to get to heaven. And not only does he say you have to do them, he says you have to do it better than the
Yeah,
teachers and the
Can I?
Pharisees, or you will not enter the kingdom.
Yeah. Can we go to scripture in that part just so I can see
Yeah,
what you're
yeah, I'm on
talking?
it right now. Which one?
Let's go to the money part, and then we'll go to the adultery one
Let's
next.
see. All right, cool. Let's see. Which one is the It's adultery, turning oaths. Oh yeah, so it's on the retaliation thing. It says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 38, it says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, give your coat as well." It says, "If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go also the 2nd mile. Give to the one who asks of you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you."
Let me see. Hold on, Matthew chapter 5, and what were the verses again? Sorry about that.
Just read verse 42.
Okay. Oh wait, turn too far. Goodness.
Yeah, man, this was from the Sermon on the Mount too, so this is pretty important stuff, I would think.
I got you. All right. So we got so this is the teaching about the revenge and teaching about love for enemies.
Yeah, saying if somebody strikes you, you should let them strike you twice, and if they sue you for 1,000, you should pay them 2. That's not good advice at all, in my opinion, but whatever floats the boat.
All right, let me see. So you read 4 verses 40 all the way to
I read 38 through 42, but 42 is the
oh
verse that says, "Give to anyone who asks of you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you."
okay. You have heard that the law of Moses says, if an eye is injured, injure the eye of the person who did it. If a tooth gets knocked out, knock out the tooth of the person who did it. But I say, don't resist an evil person. If you are slapped on the right cheek, turn the other too. If you are ordered to court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it 2 miles. Give to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. All right. So
Can I borrow $5 from you?
you can.
Thanks. I had a feeling that was a good time to ask. I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm
you
just
can.
kidding though. You don't actually have to let me borrow $5. I don't want to borrow. Hey, there was a guy on here I pressed on here one time. That
Yeah.
dude cash at me right then $100.
Oh,
The first time
really?
I had this conversation. Yeah, after the stream, I sent it back to him because I was borrowing it, so I had to pay it back, of course. But he literally did send it to me live on stream. I showed everybody. I was like, look, he really did it.
Okay. So,
But yeah, I'll send it back. I can't borrow money and not pay it back.
yeah. So, and here's the thing. All right. So, you know what the Holy Spirit is, right? A little bit.
Well, I mean, I know what people believe it is, but
Okay.
I
So,
have my own opinions on that. Yeah.
oh no, that's fine. That's fine. So, a lot of times, I'm gonna be real. One thing you don't want to do is always take the Bible from, a surface level, especially when it comes to Jesus' teachings. Because one, he speaks in parables. Two, he speaks in figurative language at times. And there's hidden messages that, are said in there. And also actually, I'm not going to get into that. But with the Spirit, it's supposed to guide you while reading this word. It's supposed to give you a revelation. And most of the time when people read it from surface level, or it can be even without the Spirit, it might be misunderstood. That's my point on that. So for verse 42, give to those who ask and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. So what you're saying, does this mean you must give money to every person who asks? If you don't, you might go to hell, whatever it is? No, because if that were literal and absolute, then Jesus would literally contradict Proverbs about wisdom. So, and then there's also scripture in Thessalonians, but I'm gonna get to that later. But it's like, if any would not work, neither should he. But
Yeah,
Jesus
but what
is,
about right here? It's saying if anybody asks of you to borrow, let them borrow.
yeah. So what Jesus is addressing is a greedy and self-protective heart. So what I was gonna get into about the guy who you ask about the $5, it really depends on his heart. Now, if he had it at that time, like I don't know how the interaction worked, and I don't know the guy. But what he's saying is don't harden your heart toward people in need. And this is not me contradicting the Bible or adding words into it. No, like I'm giving you the revelation that I get from it, and it's for me to explain it. Just making that clear. So he's not saying like if you don't give a random person $5, like you are damned. Um,
Well, I don't know, man. He's like back up here in verse 20. It sure seems like he's saying if you don't do these things better than the teachers and the Pharisees, then you're not going to enter the kingdom of heaven. And that's
no.
verbatim.
So that would kind of be adding scripture to it, because he doesn't say anything about salvation in this whole point. He's just teaching about revenge in here
No,
to show
no,
you.
no. No, this is what this is why that was one of the first things he mentioned in the sermon there.
Let me see. Sorry.
In verse 20, it says,
if I'm
"For
wrong,
truly
I'll
I
go
tell
back
you."
to it. So,
Yeah, it says, "For
now.
truly I tell you, and yet unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." He is barring
Wait,
you from heaven. And
wait,
if
what
you don't go
verse?
to heaven, you go to eternal torment. Verse 20.
Verse 20.
Yeah.
Teaching. Okay, so that's when he was teaching about the law. So don't misunderstand
Yeah.
why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses, or I came to fulfill them actually until heaven on earth. If you
Yeah,
break
this is
this
what
law,
Jesus is doing in these further passages here, is explaining his versions of the law,
you can't just.
like adultery. It says if you even marry a divorced woman, you are guilty of adultery. And if you divorce a woman, except on the grounds of sexual immorality, you have forced her to commit adultery.
Okay, I got you. All right, so and here's if that's what you say, I disagree. Salvation is really earned. It's really earned, not by just
I agree.
handing out money
You have to be
on
righteous,
demand.
right?
And I'll even explain to you, because it's if you really want to know what salvation is, it's through His grace, and we're really saved through our faith.
That's
And
according to
a
Paul,
work.
not Jesus. We're reading what Jesus is telling you to do to get to heaven right now.
So would you say that they're contradicting each other?
Absolutely.
Ooh, it's gonna be a long talk, brother. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, maybe, and we can have it, but listen, Jesus,
Yeah.
right in that passage we're reading, this is what it says. It says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish." It says not abolish, right?
Okay.
So not abolish means he didn't come to abolish the law. But Paul says in Ephesians chapter 2, verbatim, the law is abolished. So one is saying the law is not abolished, and if you don't keep it, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. And Paul is saying the law is abolished, and all you have to do is believe, because there's no law to go by anymore.
Well, here's the thing. All right, so he's really coming to fulfill him right after he says that. And if you look at the transfiguration, like that's also another like symbolic way of showing how God says listen to Jesus and not listen to them. So it's
Yeah, that's what Jesus is talking. I'm listening to Jesus.
yeah, and the thing is like if Jesus is coming to fulfill it, and then he comes up and gives us a whole set of new teachings and a whole set of ways to actually, follow him. It's
Yeah.
more so we're following a new way. Like the old law is not the way to be followed. It's more so following Jesus Christ. So,
Well, which set of laws is Jesus saying to follow here?
him.
So Jesus is the
commandment.
law.
When Jesus came, a new law was set in place. If that's how you want to say it.
Well, if these are all new laws that Jesus has given, then he's going directly against God, because God says in the Old Testament, these laws are not to be added to or taken away from. You shall not change them ever.
He was just
So if
talking
they
about
ever
the set
change,
of
he's going
rules
against
that
God.
it's not. Man. All right, so
It
here
is.
I'm not gonna lie.
Did God say that wrong in Deuteronomy?
Here, just listen, and I'm not saying that to say like. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me go back there with you. We got Exodus. I'm pretty sure it's chapter 20. Hold on.
Here, I'll read it real quick. In Deuteronomy chapter 4, it says, "So now, Israel, give heed to the statutes and ordinances that I am teaching you to observe, so that you may live and enter and occupy the land that the Lord your God, the God of your ancestors, is giving you. You must neither add anything to what I command you, nor take away anything from it, but keep the commands of the Lord your God, which I am charging you." And it says to keep these all the days that you live on the earth.
Sorry, it was
So
Deuteronomy.
at what point did Jesus or God start becoming wrong and these laws needed revision by Jesus?
I got you. Deuteronomy chapter what?
Chapter 4. That's verse 2.
Got you. All right, so do not add to or subtract from these commandments I am giving you from the Lord your God. Disobey them. You saw what the Lord did to you. All right, so let's examine that. So in the book of Deuteronomy, Moses is really speaking. Let me see.
Well, man, it's pretty simple. If God is saying don't ever add anything to or take away from the law, if you ever add anything to or take away from the law, you're changing the law, and that's going against what God is saying right there in Deuteronomy, right?
I mean, all right. Because I'm trying to think, and I'm trying to think, and I'm not saying that like, because Jesus said it himself, and I don't want to say anything wrong that doesn't make sense, because then again, like I'm still learning as well. I just want to be transparent with you, man. So,
No,
what I
I got
came
you,
here to
dude.
do.
I honestly don't care if you say anything wrong. I'll just tell you
Yeah,
what I think. And it's
yeah,
no
no,
big deal.
and that's the
We'll
thing,
carry
like
on.
me being online,
Because I'm wrong sometimes too.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I wanted to make that clear. So like when I'm speaking, I'm gonna speak on some things I know, but if I don't know, I will, in full humility, I will let you know. But
That's
and,
cool.
and
But
what
I
you're
mean,
what
if
you're
you
right
have this
about.
Holy Spirit that's interpreting this stuff for you, I would think it would be pretty easy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can interpret things that I've come to, but still I have a lot more reading to do.
I got you.
But
I understand.
so for the the whole changing thing, like and let me correct myself. It's nothing that he's really changing, because even when we went back to Matthew chapter 5 verse 17, he was more so like correcting some of the misinterpretations, like the eye for an eye. That was
It's
said
not
in
a
Exodus. It
misinterpretation.
was
It's just what the law said.
well, okay. Well, let me see. Then the eye for an eye, and that was said in Exodus. I think it was chapter 21, where it was really a judicial law for the courts. Let me see. It was a judicial law for the courts and not a personal like revenge license. So, and this is why I say, like, you got to take all the context the whole Bible into context when, like, making some of these
Yeah,
claims,
that's what I'm
only
doing.
because it's better to do that with someone who, like, actually not. Let me just say this. In Jesus' time, people were using some of the old laws to justify like personal retaliation. And a lot of times people tested Jesus. Like, there's plenty of stories on this. But when Jesus says, like,
That's okay though, right?
you have
That's okay though. You know you can test God, right?
Scripture says, do not test your Lord God.
Well, then it's a big old contradiction there, because there's plenty of stories where they absolutely do test God. And even in, believe it or not, in Isaiah chapter 7, the story of the virgin Messiah birth, God literally tells King Ahaz to ask him for a sign. And then King Ahaz refuses him. He says, "No, I'm not asking the Lord for a sign." And he goes, "Fine, the Lord's going to give you one anyway." It's literally telling him to ask him for a sign, a test. And also in Judges 6, the king there tells God, says, if you're going to make all these things happen, make this fleece dry where the dew is supposed to be touching it. So he's deliberately testing God. But God's okay with it.
What I was talking about in terms of testing is when, Jesus
is any kind of testing God or Jesus okay? Obviously, some is, right?
If I were to like go to the top of a mountain and I were to jump off and say, "Oh, God's got me. God will save me," that would be testing.
Well, in this one, he throws the fleece down and says, "God, if you're true and here, I'll tell you what. We'll just read it real quick. Let's do that.
Okay.
Here, we'll go to. I'll do Isaiah 7 first. It's a little
okay. And I got about 3 more minutes. I was supposed to be getting ready for work, but I got a little sidetracked.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't worry.
You said Isaiah.
All right, it says in Isaiah chapter 7. This is the prophecy about the virgin birth of a Messiah, supposedly, which actually don't have anything to do with Messiahs. But it says again, the Lord spoke to Ahaz, saying, "Ask a sign of the Lord your God. Let it be as deep as Sheol or as high as heaven." But Ahaz said, "I will not ask, and I will not put the Lord to the test." Then Isaiah said, "Hear then, O house of David, is it too little for you to weary mortals, that you weary my God also? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign." See what I'm saying? Like, he told him to ask for a sign, and he refused to do it. He said, "I won't do it. I won't ask the Lord for the test." And then Isaiah says, "Fine then. The Lord will give you a sign, whether you want it or not." And it says, "Look, this young woman is with child, and shall bear a son, and shall name him Emmanuel." So he's like, literally, that was God telling him to ask him for a sign or a test, whatever.
I just don't see how the testing, like, him testing God will play a role. Like, because the way I'm thinking of it is like, like me, if I were to tell somebody to, like, literally, like, shoot me and God is going to save me, like, that would be testing God, like.
Well, that's a form of it, but this is essentially doing the same thing. And in Judges chapter 6, a version of the same thing happens. The king throws a fleece down, and he says, "Lord, if you're being for real, show me in this fleece right here. You make this fleece, part of it wet and part of it dry." The next morning he gets up and it's like that. And he goes, "I'm still not convinced, God. You're going to have to do it again, but do the opposite this time." The next day he woke up and it was the opposite. Like, so he's clearly testing God, and God's answering.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, that's the problem with the Bible, man. There's no one voice speaking all the way through this. It contradicts itself constantly, and that's why I was saying earlier, you have to prioritize something in this book and go with that doctrine over the other ones, because you can't follow the law and not follow the law and need blood for forgiveness, and Jesus forgave everybody, and you not need blood. Like, it's all one big contradiction. Like, it don't even, the Old Testament don't even get itself right for the most part, but it's actually a little bit better than the New. So,
I
just my
see.
opinion.
I see. No, and I would say like your argument would be fair. And I really do wish I had like the enormous amount of knowledge to deliver you from this. But when you run into somebody who's really up on their teachings, just be ready because what I believe in that there's no contradictions. I do have to go, but I will follow and keep up with whenever you go live. I still
Hey,
want
I'm
to
on here
study on
every
some of
day,
these
man.
scriptures.
Come on back when you got some time. We'll talk about
Appreciate
whatever
that,
you want to
man.
talk about. Yeah, you were cool
Appreciate
to talk
that,
to.
man.
I'll talk to you the whole show if you got the time.
Yeah, I have work, but I appreciate this conversation, man.
Yeah, I
I
don't
love
mean
you,
today.
dog.
Just when you come back. Yeah. Back at you, Amir.
All right.
Here, I'll drop you back. Yeah, have a good one, buddy. Well, that was a cool conversation. I've been wanting to use the crap. Let me see. I've been wanting to use that you can test God argument for a while now. 2 seconds. Let me send a message real here. Right. There we go. All right. Well, maybe we still got a couple guests here. Or maybe not. But yeah, you can totally test God. Like right there in one of the most famous prophecies in the entire Bible, the birth of Emmanuel or the son of Emmanuel. God literally tells him to ask for a son. He says, "Heck no!" So like it was disobeying God. Technically, there. Ahaz was a pretty bad dude though, so he seemed to have had a really negative history story there. But Hezekiah, his son, was supposedly a really, really good and honored king. So even bad kings have good kings. That's why you're not supposed to be judging the son for the crimes of the father, I suppose, because they don't necessarily reflect each other either biblically. All right, well, if anybody else wants to come up and have a discussion there, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'm glad this topic, this first little topic here, actually. Well, I think he kind of showed us there. There's no real standard to judge anybody by their fruit, I don't think. I mean, you can't get to. Nice weather. I see you requesting up. You wasn't a Christian, though, was you? Let me know in the comments if you were. I can't even remember, sorry. I don't remember, man. But if you're a Christian and you actually disagree with me on one of these, let me know in the comments. I'll bring you up. Otherwise, Christians, calling all Christians, come on up and, or, the Hebrew Israelite fellas. Oh, yeah, I remember now. He's not, I don't know what he is, but he's not a Christian. Yeah, sorry, man. We just talked to Christians and Israelite fellers, not the general deists, I guess. All right, so where we at in the algorithm here? Algorithm's doing pretty decent. Pretty decent. Anyway, I guess we'll have to wait a minute on the next one here. What about that? Yeah, if God says it's cool. Slavery, baby bash, child sacrifice. All good. All good. Oh, and I saw, interestingly enough, too, since we ain't got nobody, I'll talk at you anyway. So I watched the Dan McClellan video yesterday, I think it was. He addressed the Exodus 22 passage of child sacrifice, and he said that it is not a consensus among scholars that is referring to child sacrifice, but he said he definitely thinks it's referring to child sacrifice, and he brought up a bunch of other passages, like where it seems like in the text to him anyway, that it was talking about them sacrificing the children, and then basically changing it to redeemed instead of sacrificing. What was Dr. Joshua saying with this real scholar? Dr. Josh, that's awesome. We can't wait to see that. Hey, if you want to come up and talk about it and give us a preview, that would be awesome. Or, I mean, if you got time, I don't know what you're doing right now, but if you can, that'd be cool. Yeah, Dr. Josh, y'all know, our best friend of the channel, our homeboy. He's doing a presentation at a Bible conference that Bart Ehrman's putting on, and that shit is gonna be fucking tight, as they say. Tight as the oh shit, hell yeah. He's got a second, y'all. He's gonna come up and give us a little previale.
Hey, how are you?
What up, home dog?
Yeah, I've probably only got a minute.
It's cool.
So the conference, it's called New Insights into the Hebrew Bible, and I think every September he has a similar conference, New Insights into the New Testament. But this is the first for the Hebrew Bible. So, like Joel Baden is giving a paper. Dan McClellan, I think, is the keynote. John Collins is giving one. Ron Hendel from Berkeley. Francesca Stavrakopoulou. Man, who else? Anyway, and Megan. Megan is giving a presentation on Assyriological backgrounds. Like, I think the title of hers is "In the Beginning, Before in the Beginning," and it's looking at creation stories coming from like ancient Mesopotamia that influenced Genesis, which is pretty cool. But my paper is called, let's see, the
Yours was
Flawsome.
on All-Knowing God.
It is actually the Flawsome God of Genesis. So FLAWSOME, the Flawsome God. Mistakes,
The
second
Flawsome
thoughts. Yeah, Flawsome. So flaws, both, like flaws and awesome together. Mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mistakes, second thoughts, and a less than omniscient God. So it's basically going through ancient Near Eastern texts about like how gods were portrayed, and then comparing that to what we see specifically in Genesis, in like the Garden of Eden story, or the flood, or city and Tower of Babel, the Akedah in Genesis 22, that sort of thing. But I think it's pretty cool because, I mean, like, you know, I think many people in the audience, be they, you know, former Christian or current Christian, you know, approach texts like, you know, Genesis 22, when he says to Abraham, "Now I know that you fear God," as like a, you know, divine condescension. It's like God. It's not that God didn't know that. It's like, you know, it's like his way of
just
relating
seemed to know it in
Abraham.
that moment.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's actually a very consistent portrayal of the deity.
Right.
You know, God is, I think God is, particularly in Genesis, but certainly throughout, I think the Hebrew Bible, he's portrayed almost as like we would think of a superhero. You know, he's got tremendous powers, but he's not perfect, right? In that sense, in description of his actions. So anyway, that is, I think, March 22nd through the 25th. And I know probably people are thinking, like, how do I, like, where is there a link or something to it? If they go to Digital Hammurabi, the YouTube channel, I think Megan has let me just pull it up here and see. Because I think she has a link to it. She put out like a video. Let's see. Maybe it's a short. I don't know. Let's see. Yes. So it's under shorts. If you go to Digital Hammurabi, HAMMURABI, under the shorts tab, the most recent one is called New Conference. And there's a just verifying that there should be like a link, I think, to it in the description, maybe, or she talks about it and where to sign up. So, but if people are interested and they can't find it for some reason, just email us at digitalhammurabi@gmail.com, and Megan can get you that link. But it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be cool. How long is your paper you wrote?
I think it's somewhere around 6,000 words, something like it's supposed to be like 50 minutes, 50 minutes, with a Q&A.
Dang,
I
that's
think
cool.
there's a Q&A. Can't remember. But yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
I love Bart Ehrman too. I've probably read 8 or 9 of his books, I would guess,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
even 10. But
Yeah,
it's always a really good read.
yeah, he's a pretty amazing guy. It's funny. I met him in person for the first time in November at the Society of Biblical Literature conference. Of course, I've been on his channel, done an interview on slavery before, but I've never met him in person. So I had a beard, and of course, I didn't have a beard when I interviewed with him. So I walked up to him. He was talking to somebody, and I said, "Hi, I'm Joshua Bowen." He goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." Just really funny because he's like, "Megan is my co-host. Like, I know who you are." It's pretty funny. But
I walked
anyway.
up to Bart Ehrman one time and I said, "What's up, Bart?" And he goes, "Who the hell are you?" I'm just kidding. That did happen.
Right. Oh God! I'll point out one more thing, and then I'll drop down. An earlier caller that you had that was talking about like slavery as a punishment wasn't
Oh, yeah.
immoral. I mean, obviously there are like 96 reasons why that's problematic, but one that people probably aren't thinking of, or that may not be thinking of, is how to determine what it is a justifiable punishment for. And what I mean by that is, if you look at, I've been doing a lot of reading recently on slavery in the American South, and I'm starting to read about slavery in particularly in West Africa, but Africa during this period leading up into the transatlantic slave trade. And one of the ways that people came into slavery was that they, committed a quote unquote crime deserving of it. But the problem with that is, even though it sounds logical to some, like, oh, it's a punishment. Well, if you do it, you deserve it, whatever. The law can stipulate that, doing whatever it is that the law determines as an action deserving of slavery as a punishment, that you've set a precedent that the law can just determine it. And then at that point, it becomes interpretation of that law. And this is one of the things that was incredibly problematic, both in the South and in Africa, is that not only for, breaking the law, but for coming into slavery, but for being physically assaulted by a master. So the law goes to great lengths in some places to say things like, we need to be treating slaves as fellow humans and people that, and this is in the antebellum South, right? Where if you do this egregious thing to someone who is so vulnerable to you as a master, that it's totally unchristian for you to do that, and against God's, all this stuff. And but the problem is that at the end, it always tacks on something like, unless they are like resisting you, or if they are in a state of insurrection, or if it's for moderate correction. The problem is that allowed the law great latitude to determine what it meant for a slave to be in a state of insurrection, or of doing this for correction, and what it ultimately amounted to, like in State versus Man. It ultimately, like Thomas Ruffin, in his opinion, wrote, essentially, I'm that, like, this seems so egregious to me, but I have to uphold the absolute power of the master over the slave, because, like, he like, the slave can't be in a state of rebellion. That the master has been. So it just creates a state that's like, what we see, what happens, I suppose, is the ultimate result here. So when we say things like, and I'll shut up, but when we say things like, or when apologists say things like, well, look here in Exodus 21, it says that, if he loves his master, then he can sign up for, or, look, if he beats the slave, but, he doesn't die, but, like, in other words, it creates a situation where they're defending based on a law that we've seen historically, these types of laws being then subject to the interpretation of those in power, and they get even assuming the best of intentions of the legislators and the judges, they get interpreted in such a way that leads to gross atrocity. So anyway, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
But sorry for rambling on, and thank you for having me up to talk
No
about
problem.
that conference.
Thank you for coming up. Yeah, we're going
Of
to look forward
course.
to that, obviously. That's our homeboy, y'all, Dr. Josh.
Thanks, man. I'll keep listening in.
Back at you, buddy.
See ya.
Have a good one, Dr. Josh. That's the man right there. All right, so we got Dr. Angelo. Are you there? You can unmute, sorry.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Doing well. Over 18 for TikTok?
Oh, of course. Way over 18.
Awesome. Are you one of the Christians or Hebrew Israelites?
I'm not a Christian. I do, and not only believe in the Bible, but have discovered on a number of levels its authenticity of being here by the Creator that created the universe. The problem that I have concerning the misinformation of God allowing slavery, or condoning, I should say, slavery. There's the start there is to not go to the root of the foundation of where things started on this planet, and the narratives and the concepts that the scriptures gives as to why things became the way they became. The very first level of slavery or an enslavement came from who the scriptures name as one who's called the God of this world. One of the things that Jesus taught his disciples in how to pray, he dropped some bombs about a few things. He says, number one, pray, our Father who is in heaven. Now, he was giving the address of God by saying that God is in heaven, and his jurisdiction in terms of his actual complete power and rule was in heaven. But in the prayer, he was dropping the clues that his followers would have to pray that God's will would be done on earth like it is being done in heaven. So, which leaves us to understand some of the concepts that's being dropped here, that God's will isn't being done on the earth, in any institution, in anything that man is doing, because he gave man free will, And the way he operates and the way his legal system operates, he didn't create AI, soldiers, or robots, but he created individuals and people and civilization to have the agency of free will. He doesn't condone anything that's out of line with what he allows in the domain that he does rule. So to say that because something is happening is something that God condones, with all of the evidence of things that were said to the contrary, is putting something on him that does not, belong.
So you're saying God's allowing slavery but not condoning it?
Well, allowing a man to exist from having to, from breaking his rules and laws from the beginning, allowing a man to learn from the departure from his laws. So all of his laws, and he promised that because of the departure from his laws, that the very worst of things would break out on the earth. I mean, before and beyond slavery.
Well, I mean, I still don't. Are you an actual doctor? Do you have some sort of doctorate?
No.
So you're like Dr. Dre.
No, not like Dr. Dre. Not like Dr. Dre either, because I am a person that has been told that I would, because of my studies and so forth, would be deserving or eligible for a honorary doctorate.
Hey, me too. We're both honorary doctors today.
Yes.
So, Dr. Ape, so clear this up for me. Like in Leviticus chapter 25, you're saying that's God permitting it, but doesn't like it, right? Am I getting that right?
Well, what the scripture speaks of concerning slavery was nothing, first of all, like the transatlantic slavery. When we talk
What was
about
the difference?
the difference, first of all, is the word. The word slavery is only in the entire Bible 2 times. One time in the Old
That's
Testament.
extremely incorrect.
Okay, tell me. Well, we're not talking about servitude now. You got to understand that
I'm
there
talking
were
about slaves, owning people as property, chattel slaves.
Well, now, not quite the same. Back then, people were made slaves in the sense that people today are made prisoners because of they've broke the law. So then you had things
Well,
like
lost a war, right?
say it again.
Or lost a war, right?
Well, yes, and I was just about to say that's one of the instances of where the kind of servitude was when there was criminal activity or when there was a war and there was another country that was overcoming another country. But it was not the kind of chattel slavery, although that not to say that it was not the abuses, because even outside of slavery, there are people who still are abused and people who are working and employers for other people. And that's exactly what was going on.
How would you define chattel slavery?
Well, I'm not so much as concerned about the various words that we use, but the actual concept of what occurred was that forced labor or being forced under the authority of another period through war, when another country conquered another country, then the people were made to go by their laws and to do what they wanted them to do. And
So
if
the Israelites, when they did that, they went by God's laws, right?
say it again.
I said when the Israelites did that in war, they went by God's laws for warfare, right?
Concerning warfare, they went by God's laws. What do you mean?
Yeah. I'm saying God gave laws for warfare, how they're to conduct themselves, right?
Well, yeah, how to treat their servants, how to treat, definitely there were definite laws of how to treat, and treat other human beings.
Well,
and then you had a thing
how would
called
you
debt
define
slavery.
chattel slavery, though? Like, just for the sake of the argument here. Yeah, I agree. The Bible has debt slavery too. I'm talking about owning people as property, though.
I don't know that it was,
Ch-
you could quite say that it was owning them as property, but owning them at least in the same way that a prison does, based on whether they were in debt. Like, for instance, they had debt, um, um, servitude or debt.
Well, I mean, if I'm a person and I purchase another human, even as a debt slave, I'm still purchasing that person, right?
You can turn it to mean that, but you're not really purchasing them in the way that they did, obviously by design of Scripture. Not in the same way, for instance, the transatlantic slavery, you weren't even a person.
Seems exactly the same to me.
Yeah, I
Like in
know, but
Exodus, hold on a second. Oops, my bad. Exodus chapter 7, it says, when a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. So, I mean, that one sentence said the word slaves twice. But when a man sells his daughter as a slave, so if you buy someone's daughter, you're
no, give
paying
me
for
that.
them.
Give
You
me,
are
give me,
purchasing property.
give me that scripture again.
That's Exodus 21, verse 7.
Let me turn there right now. Hold on one second. You said
The guy who was
Exodus.
up here, Exodus 21, verse 7. Yeah, the guy who I was talking to before you came up here, he's a Hebrew scholar, an actual PhD. And he wrote an entire book on slavery in the Hebrew Bible.
Okay, you said that's Exodus 21 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay, the word slave is not there. The word,
I
it
just read
says,
it to you. It
and
says, when a
if
man
a
sells his
man
daughter as a
set.
slave.
Okay, what version are you reading?
This is the NRSVUE. This is what every seminary in the world uses.
Yeah, that doesn't quite matter, and I'll tell you why. Even theological seminaries are infiltrated with all type of humanistic, uh, thinking and things that have been added. But in the actual King James, which was translated in of by the edict, a royal edict. Now, it's not like today where you can get away with a recall because there's been some sloppy, shoddy work done. Back in those days, when a king gave an edict for something to be done, and the edict was given by King James, that these translators would translate from Greek to English, and for the Old Testament from Hebrew to English, and so they would be
So what
more
was the Hebrew
authoritative.
word they were translating here?
Well, first of all, let me just say, in the English word that was used is men servants and maid servants. So the
Right.
actual word slave, you see, most of our words today, like for instance, today in our world, someone who has brown skin is called black. How did that happen? Someone who has tan and beige skin or reddish skin is called white. We have all kind, we're goofy when it comes to the words that we choose and use. So human beings can't be depended upon. I mean, to this very day, for 500 years, over 500 years, we're calling brown black. But when you see brown on anything else, it's
Yeah,
brown.
they're also calling a word here a different word. Because the word that they're
Yeah. So,
translating in Hebrew is Eved, and that means slave. A
well,
slave, a held person, someone you own as akuzah, that's property. You own them as property. It literally says this verbatim.
but then you're dismissing the fact that the word manservant and maidservant is used. Now, here's
Hold
the
on.
Hebrew
Okay,
word.
well, hold on. Wait, just a second. Just a second. Read verse 7 again, real quick for me.
Okay, but before you say that, in Strong's, it says H519 for the words that is used, which is amah, and it says
Yeah,
number
Amah is
one,
a female slave.
it says maid servant, female slave, maid,
Female
maid,
slave, yes.
handmaid,
Slave.
concubine, and
You heard
humility.
yourself there, right?
What? Okay, but you're dismissing the other words that are used. I mean, we
Yeah,
can,
no, you're doing that. So, verse 7, even if it says bondmaid, it says, when a man sells his daughter as a bondsman, he is selling her as a bondsmaid. She is being sold, which means someone is purchasing her. If you purchase a her as a person, you are purchasing a person as property, not their services.
No,
This
I
doesn't say
get
you're
that.
selling their
No, I get
services.
that.
It says you are
No,
selling your daughter. Yeah.
I get that. I get that. I get that. But
Oh,
my
okay.
point, though, is that what again, these things, the Lord said from the very beginning, he told Adam, if you eat of this tree happened to be was something that represented good and evil. So yes, evil would occur. So the thing is, and I'm not really trying to, the only thing I was trying to say concerning the form of slavery, or what we would call slavery or servitude that they had there, was not simply because, yeah, people bought people and this sort of thing. Yes. However,
Yeah, as
how
slaves. Like the word you just
humane.
read in the Strong's Concordance, Amma means a female slave.
Okay, so then we could say slave, servant, or however you want to, and then you could call them
Slave, yeah,
by,
we're talking about slaves.
yeah, and servants. For some reason, you
I'm
prefer
not
the
talking
word.
about servants. I'm talking about people being owned and property,
You're
bought
still
and sold
serving.
as property.
You're
Yeah,
still
that's what
as
slaves do.
a
They're forced labor.
forced labor. Same with maid servants, or servants are forced as well. We're talking about the same concept,
Yeah,
but
they're
we're just,
slaves.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So so our prisoners, people that go to people who are, because of debt, because they owe debt, they become slaves to debt prison, and or people that commit crimes are prisoners.
Yeah.
The word prisoner is the
Yeah, I'm
same thing
not
as
talking about
slave.
prisoners though. No, it's
Prisoners
not.
are slaves.
No, they're
Prisoners are
not.
slaves.
No, they're not.
Okay, so can they go? Can they do whatever? Can prisoners do whatever they want to do?
They can do it within the confines of the prison. It doesn't mean you can just beat the shit out of them whenever you want. It doesn't mean you can have sex with them. Like, these are serious crimes to violate
Okay,
a prisoner's human
those are
rights. I mean,
abuses. Those are abuses, and God has made
yeah,
it clear that none of those things, by God's law, God has made it clear that these are not things that He condones: abuse of servants or slaves or of prisoners. He's made it very clear.
really.
Yes.
Well, he makes it clear that you can't treat Israelite slaves harshly, but
No,
everybody else
sir.
seems to have a
No,
very
sir.
different set of. Yeah, here, I'll just
He
read it to
also
you.
speak.
It
He
says
also speaks
in
for.
Leviticus chapter 25, it says, as for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, have been born in your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. That's chattel slavery, owning people as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So, I mean, to me, that's crystal clear. It's saying you can treat all the foreigners as slaves, but Israelites, you cannot.
Okay, here's the point that I'm trying to make on that. It is true that one of the things that the Lord, when He created Israel, He created them to be a nation that would have the culture of God through His laws, His humane laws. However, that did not mean that the other nations would be, that didn't mean that the other nations were in covenant with God. In fact, the reason why the other nations were called heathen nations was because these were nations. As it was, God had a problem with Israel. And the reason why He allowed them to be slaves, He said that if you go and start acting like the other nations, then you're going to be enslaved. You're going to be captured. See, you're not
Yeah,
telling
he
the
did that
whole
to them.
story. Yes, He allowed it to happen many generations because of the same
Yeah,
disobedience
he
and
made it
negligence.
happen. Yeah, he enslaved them, so he's obviously okay with
Well,
slavery as a punishment.
to say He enslaved them and rather than allowed
He
it to
literally made
occur.
it happen, like it says it all through Jeremiah, all through and Isaiah.
Okay, but the point is
The cup of
that
wrath, he pours his cup of wrath out on the Israelites. Does that sound familiar?
yes, exactly, it does, and it's true.
Yeah, he
So
enslaved them for not keeping the law and stuff.
Well, he allowed them to be enslaved. He wasn't the one enslaved.
No, he put them in bondage.
I
He
know
poured
what you're
out his
saying.
wrath on them. He says, "I will place these bonds on your neck." Like it's literally God saying He is putting the chains around their necks. You know, the
Here's the
ones He don't
problem
put to
with
the
your
sword. Yeah.
here's the problem with your misinterpretation is that these things happened as a consequence of their violation of his laws.
Yeah, that's what I
He didn't
said.
just
I said
randomly
they
say,
didn't keep the
he didn't
law,
just
so He
wait, wait,
punished
wait, wait,
them.
wait, 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 wait. Let me just finish this. He didn't just randomly wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I think I want you to be slaves today." You're not telling the whole story here.
I told the part that was accurate. What did I say that was wrong?
Well, it's not the part. It's not a part here. We're dealing with the whole thing. And we're dealing with the fact that the
Well,
only reason why God
sure, but
allowed
I
them to be
just
enslaved.
said that they stopped keeping God's laws. He got mad, and He has Jerusalem destroyed and them enslaved in Babylon. I didn't say
Okay,
anything wrong.
it's not simply that he got mad. You got to understand that the
Yes, it
violation of
is.
law.
It's on the
You got to,
day of anger, He does
yeah, yeah.
this.
Oh, yes,
So He's
exactly.
definitely angry.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
You're right
exactly.
about that. You're certainly right about that. And
Yeah,
I
I
pray
know.
that,
I'm
and
not taking it out of context.
I hope that we could have an intellectual conversation, because the moment it gets emotional, you stop thinking and it stops being intellectual.
Oh, my
I
bad.
mean,
Are you getting emotional?
the moment we start trampling over each other while talking, it stops being intellectual. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not intimidated by what you're saying, and I hope you're not intimidated by what I'm saying. I just pray that both of us
Definitely
can
not.
be as cordial. I just pray that both of us can be as cordial as intellectualism calls for here. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, sure.
So
I
what I'm
mean, I
saying
don't.
is that
I
Israel
want people to talk
definitely
and have a
was enslaved
conversation,
by
but I
permission
do
of God
interrupt sometimes too
because
if
they
it's needed, just
violate.
like right now.
Yeah. So whenever they broke his laws, it wasn't just simply his anger that caused this. His anger was because his laws were broken. You
I
understand what
know,
I'm
and He
saying? If
got
someone
angry. That's
breaks,
what I said. They stopped
yeah.
keeping His
So
laws.
if
He got
someone,
mad. He enslaved them.
yes,
I don't
yes,
understand.
but it wasn't. Yeah, but what you're saying is you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. It wasn't simply that he got mad. It was that they broke his laws, and of course,
They
if
stopped
someone break,
keeping His laws, and He got mad because of it.
yes,
They made Him
yes,
mad by not keeping His laws. That's what I'm saying.
okay, but sir, what I'm saying to you is you're focusing on the fact that he got mad, and you're not focusing on the violation that caused him to get mad. And that's what I'm saying. What was the cause of his
They
anger?
stopped keeping the laws.
Yes. So was that a just cause to get angry?
In God's eyes, it wasn't. In mine, it
Oh,
wasn't. If He's giving people free will, then He shouldn't punish them for using it. Should
okay.
He?
So people have free will, but because he's given free will, if the only thing you hear is free will, but you don't hear law, God has given laws. You only tell half of the
Yeah.
story that God gave free will. What about law? If someone
I
broke
didn't
into
leave
your
that
house,
out.
wait. If someone broke into your house, sir, would you be gentle with them, or would you be everything up to deadly force if needed? Come on, let's be
Deadly
sensible
force
here.
if needed, yeah.
Yes,
While I was
sir.
under threat, not after the fact, especially 400 years after the fact.
What do you mean 400 years after the fact? What do you mean?
That's what God does. He punishes people for what people like 400 years earlier had done. The people He's actually punishing in some cases have absolutely nothing to do with the crime He's mad about.
Okay, now that's limited to your interpretation of that, but let me tell you what I see.
No, it's what it says.
Yeah. I could say the word bear.
Yeah.
If I say the word bear, what do I mean?
I'm assuming you either mean an animal, or you're like carrying some sort of something, or you're not wearing any clothes, so you're bare. Like it can mean several things. You need more
It
than
could mean
just the word. You
several
need the
things.
context that it's being used in.
That's right. So it can mean several things.
Yeah.
So in the same way, we have to look at what's said and find out, not just in the immediate context of what something may mean, but what is the value system of the person who said it, first of all. Like I can say I'm
I totally
hungry
agree.
enough. I can say I'm hungry enough to eat a horse, But when you find out who I am, you find out he doesn't eat horses. That was just a way of expressing how hungry he is. You got to be careful about interpretation. God gives
Okay.
laws.
Well, you want to read what I'm talking about, and you can tell me if I'm taking it out of context or not?
Well, again, the word reading a text does not mean that you have the full context of what was meant.
That's what I'm saying. I'll read it, and you can tell me if I got it right.
No.
or wrong.
Yeah, you didn't hear what I said. I said reading a statement does not mean that you, through the statement alone, will have full context of what was meant. So you can read a statement, but that's still not telling you everything. You'd have to have the immediate context as well as the general context, which mean, are we dealing with a person here that allows for the kind of penalty or punishment of just saying, oh, well, I just want his kids or their children in the future. What he was talking about was that your children would suffer based on the things you do. Why? Because there's a DNA type of intrusion called iniquity. Iniquity would be to the third and fourth generations, because there's something
Sometimes the
here.
10th.
Well, the
Even though
point,
God says
though,
the son will not be punished for the sins of the father, nor the father for the sins of the son, but that's a different matter.
but in actuality, all of humanity, all of the seed of Adam would be punished
Right. So I'm not
because of
taking
the
the
sins
story
of the
out of
father.
context. The context is the Amalekites opposed the Israelites when they come up out of Egypt. So 400 years later, God decides it's time to punish them for that, and he orders the complete and utter destruction of the Amalekites, including infants and children.
Yeah. There are so many things here that require surgical getting into, because debating, for instance, if surgeons have to have steady hands. When things become debating, people's minds are not open to hear or to weigh evidence of other things. They just have a narrative they're driving. And you could say, for instance, the fact that you believe that just because something says something means that you know exactly what it meant. And you're willing to do that to reinforce
So
what you
what
believe.
I'm asking you what I'm getting wrong.
Well, what you're getting wrong is the very basis and foundation of the laws and the personhood of God. You're going by statements
Okay.
that were translated from one language to another, which could mean this or could mean that. Like you said, when I asked you about the word bear, but when it came to the word slave or servant, you're locked only into one thing that could be, which does not say,
No, I read you
can I
the
finish my
context.
You
You read the
statement?
word
Can
yourself that said
can I
female
finish?
slave,
Can I
but you
finish
said
my
it didn't say.
statement?
No. I'm interrupting
Okay,
you.
so
You've been
then
babbling
how
a long
can
time now. So you said this doesn't say this, and then you read your own Strong's Concordance and said it does say that, and then you immediately jumped into another story because you realized what you said, I suspect. And now we're on this. You keep lecturing me on context, and I keep saying, let's just figure out the context, and you can tell me, but then you just start talking about something else. So it has to stop. Are we going to have an actual conversation, or are you just going to talk at me?
I think we're talking about the subject matter that you've brought up. And I don't think we're
not.
talking.
I'm asking you questions, and you're not answering any of my actual questions.
Okay, let's go back and tell me the first question that you asked that I didn't answer.
Okay, so what context am I getting wrong about the story of the Amalekites?
No. I said let's go back because I'm not following you on the Amalekites. Let's go back. You said that I keep not answering your questions. Let's go back when you started asking me questions. What questions did I not answer?
I just told you one, and now you're telling me to.
You're telling me one.
You're not answering my question again.
Okay, so let me just say this.
This is what I was talking about when I was mentioning that. So
okay, so what I'm asking you is that because I didn't hear your question on what you said about the Amalekites, because I was talking, you were actually steamrolling over me. So I didn't hear what you were saying about the Amalekites. Oh. Can we go back to another question you did ask that I wouldn't know about?
Go back to a different one?
I want to go back to the questions. You said
so
questions.
What did I take out of context in Jeremiah?
Okay, and Jeremiah
You said I
was
took both of these out of context.
okay. Tell me what Jeremiah said again, please.
He's he's announcing his destruction of Jerusalem here, right?
Okay, give me the scripture again, Jeremiah.
I wasn't. We never got into the actual scripture of Jeremiah. I was saying that God got mad because they stopped breaking the law, so He put them into slavery. And you said I'm wrong, but then you agree with me. So then I asked you to say, what exactly am I getting wrong? And you went to a diatribe, and then we got into the Amalekite thing.
And this is why we've got to have an orderly conversation. I was correcting the fact that you said God got mad. He indeed got mad, for sure. He
And
did.
then so what
Can
are
I
you
can I
correcting
can I
by
finish my
agreeing with
answer?
me that he
Can I
got
finish
mad? Do
my
you realize
answer?
what you're saying?
Can I finish my
Say
answer?
something that makes sense, and you can.
That's
Say
why
something
it's
that
out,
makes sense, and you can.
sir. That's why this is out of order, because you're using emotion to deal with this.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thanks for coming up, buddy. But using emotion. Yeah, I'm real emotional right now, you know. I'm losing my shit over here, y'all. Yeah, I think we've all stomached about enough of that conversation there. I was correcting you on saying you were saying God was mad. Yeah, he was mad, but I don't think he understands what he was saying there, unfortunately. This is what happens when you call yourself a doctor and you're not actually one. All right, let's bring up Chief Justice something. Hey, Chief, are you there?
I'm here. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. Are you over 18?
Yes, I am. Last time I checked.
Cool. Awesome. Are you one of the Christians or Hebrew Israelites?
You could say that, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, which one of these topics you want to talk to us about today?
First of all, before I go, I must say I respect the calm way and the manner in which you conduct yourself, and that's
Oh,
commendable.
thank you.
I hate
I was getting emotional
when
on the last guy, apparently.
no, that's fine. That's fine. It has its place. Everything, has its place and time. But overall, enjoy the way you conduct yourself. Because I was talking to an unbeliever last night, similar to yours, and he was just so, it was just calling me all kind of names and all of that unnecessarily. I was trying to have an intellectual discussion.
I got you.
Yeah, but
I'll do my best to respect.
yeah,
Respect the
it makes a
conversation.
big difference when people conduct themselves. I mean, we all are, as far as I'm concerned, we all are trying to make sense of life and make God make sense. As a Christian and as a former pastor as well. Sometimes I say, I sympathize with people who don't believe. And one of the reasons is when you look around and see what's going on, you would question, and I question God often, like many of the Bible writers, and they ask, how can you be a just God and you sit on your throne and you watch the atrocities happen to children, to people, and you have the power to intervene and you do nothing, and then we are supposed to believe in a CEO. If you have a CEO that's running a company and he watches the workers doing all kind of things in that company, you would blame the CEO. You say, come on, man, you should be more responsible, right? And you probably would fire him and get
Absolutely.
another CEO. So I think people, it's not a matter of not believing in God. People just don't make sense of a God who is there and just sit and watch these untold tragedies. It's tough. It's tough. So I am kind of sympathetic. I would never reach to the point
Well,
though where I say
how did you get over all that?
huh?
Well, how did you get over all the bad stuff to worship the God that's doing all
I
the bad
don't
stuff?
get over it. I'm just struggling with it. Struggling with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
I
just
got you.
saying that
Yeah, this is hard to struggle with.
it is a struggle to make sense of it. As I said, because we are logical people, and he says his way is not our way, and we try to defend him and all of that. But when you stop to really think about it, it doesn't add up. Some of the thing doesn't add up. Take for instance this idea of okay, two couples disobey you. But if my children disobey me, do I punish generations after generation of his children upon his children and their children just because that doesn't add up for me, right? And isn't
Yeah.
that what we have of the Adam and Eve story? We have a situation with two people disobeying.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible. I mean, the whole point in punishing your children isn't just to punish them for doing bad stuff, it's to try to help them learn a lesson, right? So I mean, if they're
Exactly.
not learning something from it, then you just punish them just to punish them. That's not the point. That's just punishment for the sake of punishment. It's
and
not
not and not
correction. You know what
forever,
I mean?
and yeah, and not forever, and on and on and on and their children and their children. Doesn't
Right?
make
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't make sense. It does. Somebody is hiding something from us. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
It's
sense. You know, I
absolutely
think the
not.
crime, even we as human beings, we say the crime must fit the punishment, right? You can't over punish. You
Yeah.
want to just make it balance. You want to be balanced. But what we see in this world, oh my God, just because of two Apple or whatever, somebody got deceived, and plus it was a deception, right? What is a deception really? A deception is like, I was fooled. I didn't know. I got a counterfeit dollar. I didn't know. I was deceived. I didn't know the guy was tricking me and giving me a counterfeit dollar. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. But you don't punish. Nah, it does not happen. So I do sympathize with people who, like yourself, are trying to make. I don't get from you like you're just here to say there is no God and he's wicked and da, 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 da. No, I'm getting like make it make sense, right? Am I correct or what?
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Why did I
Well,
leave
I'm trying to
out?
show people that they can't make it sense more accurately, not in any viable way, anyway. Like you can't defend um, like in 2 Samuel 20:12 here, it says, "The Lord struck the child whom Uriah's wife bore to David, and it became very ill. And then 7 days after the child becomes ill, it dies." So I mean, like, even if you're going for like justice and punishment, like what the fuck did this child do? Like the child didn't have anything to do with this crime. And it
Correct.
specifically says, God tells David, he says, I'm putting away your sin, but hey, the baby, like where's the love and
Yeah.
mercy for this baby? What did the baby do? You
What
know what
did
I
the
mean?
baby
Like you
do?
cannot
Yeah.
argue this was
Yeah.
justice.
No, no,
Nobody
the
can.
baby it doesn't. And I heard a girl said some time ago. It just caused me to think. She said, "Okay, here is a being that goes around deceiving and leading people, tempting them to do bad things that God doesn't want them to do. But instead of punishing the deceiver, you punish the people all the time. Everybody get punished except him."
I mean, it's worse than that, really. He uses people for his own purpose and then punishes them for having been used by him. Like
Yeah,
it's
yes,
sick and twisted, man.
it can be. It can be. Like I said, I've reached to the point in my life where I know there is a God. I have no doubt he exists. But to make sense of him and to make sense of what is done and to see that, like when I read the book of Revelation, I believe in the prophecies. And it says there is coming a time when Christians are going to have their heads cut off, and maybe we're nearing that time. But I'm saying, so, okay, good news. You're telling me that you're going to just sit and watch some of us get our head cut off and do nothing about it. How cheerful is that? Come on. When the mark of the beast is passed and you can't buy or sell except, and then you tell me then they're going to call for our heads to be cut off and you're going to just sit there and watch us get, how nice is that? What can I tell my children? How cheerful is that? Come on. It doesn't, nah.
Right, but you're worshiping this God, though, right?
Well, like I say, I don't feel like I reached the point where I would say he does not exist. I do believe in my heart that I've experienced him from a child, and that's what keeps me hanging on. But for people who have not have my experience, that's why I say I'm very sympathetic because I'm convinced that he exists because of my experiences with him, and still have struggles. I can't imagine somebody who have not yet come to that experience. You see what I'm saying? That is why I'm able to say, I especially, I don't know. I like your spirit. Something about you that seems genuine, sincere. I don't think you're arrogant. I don't think you're trying to do any agenda. I think you're just asking honest questions to make things make sense. And I'm like that too. I want things to make sense, but it doesn't make sense.
No, I hear you, man. I appreciate you saying that too. So I mean, I have an agenda, but I'm not willing to achieve it by like dishonest means. I like to have genuine discourse to try to get there. If not, I guess I just won't get there. But we'll be trying though. But anyway, Janet, are you there? You'll have to unmute yourself there, Janet. Hey, you, Janet.
There we go. Sorry.
That's all right. Are you over 18?
Oh, yeah, I am.
Awesome. Are you one of the Christians or Hebrew Israelites?
I am a Christian.
Awesome. So which one of these topics you want to talk to us about today?
Okay, so I was kind of looking at if all Christians are sinners, how will you know them by their fruit? I thought that was kind of an interesting question. I've been watching you for a while. I haven't really had the nerve to call, but I felt like just having some conversation today. So I had an opinion on that, and you can let me know if my opinion makes sense or not in your view. So when I think about sin, I think about like an act against God or an act against another person, in my view. And then when I think about the fruit of this, I'm thinking of the fruit of the Spirit, which would be what's found in Galatians, which is like love, gentleness, patience, self-control, like character attributes. So when I think about how, for myself, I mean, I can do some pretty stupid things. And, I think whether or not I'm a Christian, I've battled with, people, we just do stupid things and we hurt people sometimes intentionally or unintentionally. But for me, it's, am I willing to use the fruit of the Spirit to apologize, be humble? To me, those are more, I may do something stupid, but sometimes my heart's in the right place and maybe I'm hormonal and I act like a complete moron, or maybe I'm impatient or tired and I do something stupid. But do I have the gentleness? Like if I'm talking to somebody, can I be gentle with somebody, go back, apologize, exhibit that forgiveness? And I think that's really what's missing in Christianity today. I think they're doing a lot of acts for God. They're doing a lot of things outwardly. They're like, beating people with Bibles or having a different halftime show and thinking that's some great Christian thing, but they're displaying zero fruit. There's no gentleness. There's no kindness. They're watching people get beat in the streets and they're focused, maybe somebody did come in illegally, but I've never had to live in a place where I had to leave because it was dangerous for me to live there. So they're looking all at the actions, and today's Christians have zero fruit, just zero. They're uncompassionate, right. They're cruel, they're horrible. And I find more fruit in atheists most of the time than I find in westernized Christianity.
Yikes, that's bad to say, ain't it?
It's really embarrassing, and it has made me really
it's like
wrestle.
The atheists are the ones that's got the fruits here. That's cool.
It really, I mean, honestly, it is. It's.
Hey, you win, I'm cooked. You got me.
I mean, it's just, y'all win most of the time. It's really sad
the
to see.
heathens have got the fruit. Y'all heard it here. It's awesome.
It's true. I talk to a lot of atheists and they're way more respectful to me. As a woman Christian, most of the Christian men will not even listen to me. At least I can talk to you and have a back and forth and you can press me and that's cool. And at least y'all will listen,
Right.
So that's kind of my view on
if Jesus is telling you that you will know the Christians by their fruits,
yep.
But you're saying the atheists are the ones with more fruits.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the whole point of me bringing that up was there's no real good system for that in reality, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to disagree necessarily with that because, what do you do with that? What do you do when the atheists are showing the fruit?
I'm just using that to kind of show that the Bible, once again, don't seem to know what it's talking about. Like, because there's no valid distinguishment there. It's just giving people smattered, confusing information once again.
You're not wrong. So I don't know what that says about me. Probably not a really good debater when I'm going to
hopefully
go.
it just says maybe think about it a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, that's all I would ask.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
for sure. It's a good question, though.
Let me ask you something about like what Jesus taught directly.
Okay.
So do you think that a woman should be sentenced and convicted of adultery for a man divorcing her?
Well, no, I would think, according to, what inside of me tells me what is right, no.
Well, you're directly disagreeing with Jesus, right?
I mean, okay, so can you tell me, like, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong, can you tell me why you think that, seriously? Or like where you know?
The Sermon on the Mount. Did you know that?
Well,
here, I'll read it. It's only 2
okay,
verses.
yeah. I'm trying to like go back to what you're saying, because what I thought you said was something about. Okay, can you make your original statement to me again? So, because I thought it was like a death, because I know they used to stone women for adultery. So that's where my brain was kind of going.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. So this is what I was asking you, if you thought it was right for a woman to be convicted and sentenced to adultery, which is stoning.
Exactly.
Because a man divorces her, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's messed up as hell.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus says, but I say, well, here, I'll read both verses.
Okay.
It says, it is also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. That's the actual law there. The actual law that God himself gives just says, if you divorce a woman, you have to give her a certificate.
Correct.
So here's what Jesus makes it into. It says, but I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the grounds of sexual immorality, causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. So Jesus is saying, if a man divorces you,
right,
unless it has something to do with sexual immorality, you are guilty of adultery. And it also says, if you marry a divorced woman, the man is guilty of adultery just for marrying a divorced woman.
Right. Well, here's where I get confused, though, honestly, because I do realize that there's a lot of contradictions in scripture, because then why does he go and when the woman is fixing to be stoned, he doesn't let her be stoned? When he says, you who are without sin.
Exactly. Think about what he actually said there. Did he say, don't stone her? That's wrong.
In which one? In the one where he...
In the adultery story.
Yeah. No, he said, let you who are without sin cast the first stone, and nobody could.
Exactly. But if somebody was without sin and considered themselves righteous who was standing there, they would have grabbed a rock and threw it, and Jesus would have been perfectly fine with that.
That's true, but
his words is what he's saying.
That's true, but do you think that he might have said that because he knows there's none of us that are without sin? I mean, that's...
Well, it was a clever thing to say. The problem is, if you actually know about that story, it wasn't implemented until like nearly 1,000 years after Jesus come along. That's it's not in any early Greek manuscripts at all. It was added into Latin manuscripts. So Jesus didn't actually even say that. Even though it was really clever, the point is, he didn't tell them don't do it. He just kind of he put them in a situation where he was calling out sort of their hypocrisy. You know what I mean?
Yes, the hypocrisy. Yeah, for sure.
Which was, it was a witty thing to do for sure. The problem is Jesus didn't actually say that historically. And I mean, unless you're just discounting the Sermon on the Mount because of that one passage, you still can't get away from what Jesus is saying in the Sermon on the Mount. You know what I mean? It still has to be addressed on its own.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the difficult things that, we have as Christians, or that I have, is, and that I find a lot of Christians do not just acknowledge, is there are those contradictions that make it really difficult for you. You kind of have to do mental gymnastics. I can admit that, and it gives me stuff to like really think about.
Yeah.
So
Jesus also says on the Sermon on the Mount, he says, do not worry about your life. He says, God feeds birds, and you're way more valuable than a bird. So God would never let you starve or go thirsty or not have clothes. You know how many people starve to death every day? Christians?
Yeah. And that is something that as I have deconstructed partially like from what I really was raised in, which was really harsh Christianity, really conservative, like the worst, and I mean, that's something I struggle with every day as a person who's living with, I have a seizure disorder and I have anxiety with that. That's just part of how my brain works. So it's been really difficult for Christians to throw at me that verse when I have like real physiological anxiety. Like that's what do you do with that? Because I see just people around here, that don't have enough to eat. And in my opinion, the Christians,
we ain't all gonna be able to afford not to eat before long. This is getting fucking crazy out here.
It's really, honestly, it's really horrible. And to see the Christians who I feel should be the hands of God, okay, doing nothing, and not only doing nothing, but harming and taking away from.
Yeah, that hand's supposed to be carrying a cross, but that hand's carrying a whip, ain't it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't like to be a part of that personally. Like, I wish other people would join me, but I mean, I get
it. I don't like to be a part of it. And so it is hard to come on lives because I do know that I'm going to, get a lot of shit, and that I do know that most of it is well deserved. When I listen to you debate other people and they're not answering your questions, they're skating around and they're not actually addressing the points that you're making. It's like this little dance that just goes all around it, and they can't just admit, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, this is a problem. I got to think about that. I may have some good points too on my side, but I have to also admit that I don't have some good points on the other side. So I basically was listening to the dude that was up, before me. And I'm just like, dude, just answer the question. If you have to, at least be honest and say you A, don't know, or you B, can't reconcile that. Like just watching this little dudes, watching people skate around it. So anyways, I don't, that's kind of all I had to say from watching. You're really good at, you obviously know what you're talking about. You have a lot of knowledge. So I was a little bit nervous to call, but, I like to talk to people who've got some knowledge and really have a good conversation. And that guy was frustrating me. Just wanted to answer a question.
You're getting a whole bunch of W's up here right now, in my opinion. So,
well, it's just because I can admit and have respect for a person who's asking those questions. I don't feel the need to skate around your questions. I like to be challenged.
Well, your fruit is showing.
Well, I really honestly, from you, I appreciate that because, that just means a lot. Even though we don't agree, that means a lot that we can actually answer questions. I think that's what is missing in Christianity, to be honest with you, just the acknowledgement of these hard questions. And, I just see where it leads. I don't know. These are questions. These are where the answers I have today. They might not be the same answers that I would have a month from now if I learned some more, but that's where I'm at today.
I agree. That's how I think, no offense or nothing, but based on what you're saying, I kind of feel like you're on the way out, honestly.
Well, I am on the way out.
Almost everybody here can sympathize with you.
All of my deconstructionist friends tell me that all the time when I call up. They're like, "Did you drop the Bible yet?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." So we just keep talking, and that's okay. Like they're cool with it because they know I respect them, and I'll answer the hard questions, or I'll go away and I'll think about it for sure.
Man, you answered mine perfectly satisfactory. So,
all right. Well,
I wish everybody would do that. That would be a great.
I know, but then you wouldn't. Sometimes it's fun listening to the absolute dinglings. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's frustrating, but I do enjoy an atheist who knows what they're talking about and who has read the Bible. I do like to watch these Christians get pushed into a corner because I think it shows you the absolute lack of depth, sincerity, and knowledge of the vast majority of Christians in the world. And the atheists are having to show you about your own Bible. They know it better than you, and they're very arrogant. So I think they need to hear it.
Well, my real problem with this stuff is that forcing people into positions that they know is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the threat of eternal punishment is about the biggest coercion you can absolutely come up with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was
So, I
just
mean,
talking to my daughter
to
about that
force
last
people
night.
to utter
Hmm.
that it's okay to stone a woman for adultery because a man divorced her, like, it's unthinkable horror to me. But people are literally, even though they know that's wrong, are forced to sit here and say, yeah, of course I have to agree with Jesus, so yeah, I do. Like, my opinion don't matter.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's a
don't, I
forced
do
thing.
not.
Like, it's insane.
And to me, one of the biggest questions that I have as a Christian is, why was God? Because, in the Old Testament, it was all about stoning. He was zapping people dead right and left for not doing what they're supposed to do. There was no grace and mercy. But then in the New Testament, we have Jesus, who is all grace and mercy. But then it's like they're one person, and that doesn't make sense in my head.
I mean, it probably never will, but if you actually know the Old Testament, it's completely different than the New Testament.
Yeah.
The Old Testament tells its own story. This is the God of the Israelites. This is about Israelite history and experience with their God and why their God does certain things. And then way later, completely different set of Jews, like, just reinterpreted.
That's a good word,
Not
though.
even the whole thing, like,
Yeah.
literally just some parts of it, just a few sentences in some cases, and sometimes just made shit up.
Yeah,
But
and
what they're saying cannot line up with the Old Testament. Like, just for example, like in the New Testament, it says you have to have blood for forgiveness. But if you skim through the Old Testament, God's forgiven people all through just because they asked for it.
that's true.
Turn from their wicked ways. Like, I mean,
It's true.
Yeah. So why the rigmarole of the human sacrifice ritual that you had to have for forgiveness if God can just forgive you?
I know, it doesn't make any sense.
I know. It's crazy. But not only that, but they built this guy Jesus up as this Messiah when he was never even anointed as a Messiah. Like, the whole thing is really, really silly if you think about it.
Well, yeah, and I've
Because
listened to a lot of Justin on Deconstruction Zone. I used to listen to him a lot on the
oh yeah,
prophecy
he's the
because,
man.
yeah, and he does, of course, the prophecy stuff. And that was like so enlightening because when you're in the church, you're just taught to you're really just told Jesus fulfilled prophecy, but you don't really go into it. I didn't know how
Right.
much I didn't know until I listened to him. And then I had to go to my pastor and I was like, hey, what is this about? Luckily I have a pastor
Yeah.
who kind of grapples with the same stuff as me. So he didn't, he actually listened to me. And I was like, I'm listening to the context of all this stuff and something ain't jiving. So, what do I do with that? I mean,
What'd he say?
he just, he said there's different ways you can interpret it. Of course, he said some people employ the double prophecy fulfillment side of it, and
Right.
I mean, I've talked to Justin a few times and asked him, about it. But really, listen, if Jesus really fulfilled all that prophecy, then the Jews would have all turned Christian. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but so there was enough. He wasn't fulfilling it because the Jews didn't accept it. Now, to me, the thing was he did miracles, supposedly, right? That was the thing. But that doesn't really make sense if he was supposed to fulfill prophecy. So one of two things happened. Either he actually did the miracles and didn't fulfill the prophecy, or he has not yet come, and then we should all be Jews.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy. It depends on how you look at it. Like, if the only gospel in existence was Mark, you would have a totally, totally different set of mind frames than if all the gospels were there, because Christians have to take all these gospels and try
Yeah.
to smash them together
Yep.
and make them all true, because it's all true, inherent word of God, right?
Yeah.
But they don't agree with each other. Like, if you read the first gospel, Mark, it's all about suffering. It does not give a shit about people living a peaceful, happy life. It is about suffering. It's saying to get to God, you have to suffer, because that's what life is suffering. But
Yeah.
Jesus is basically he's a preacher with some authority from God. You know what I'm saying? And he's
Yeah.
saying, I'm not good. God is good. You have to
Yeah.
keep God's laws to get to heaven. And then the further you go into time, Jesus evolves into this person who is God himself and who is capable of changing laws and
Yeah.
doing miracles and stuff like that. Like, you can literally see the evolution of the religion in Jesus, how he's transforming from this regular kind of dude who's God's son into God himself, saying he was there from the beginning of the universe and such. Like, you can see that it's being made up as time goes by.
That's an interesting perspective. I have never heard somebody say it like that, but now that you do, there is a progression there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really obvious too if you think about it. I mean, John is saying John's the latest of all gospels. I think it was written probably as late as maybe even like 150 AD. But I mean, it is saying completely off the wall shit compared to the other gospels. You know what I mean? Like, implying that Jesus is God himself. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
literally calls him
He
God
was
a
very
couple
much
times.
that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, there is nothing in Mark like that at all. Like, Mark doesn't even have a birth narrative. So, I mean, you don't even have to argue with Isaiah 7 if you just use Mark, because it don't mention none of that. It just says Jesus was baptized, God favored him, then he did some miracles that God gave him.
Yeah, it was
He
kind of short and
taught
sweet.
people. He suffered. He was abandoned by everybody.
Yeah.
Like, even God in the end, like right before he dies, he says, God, why have you forsaken me? Like, the whole point of the earliest Mark is that this is what it means to get to God. You are abandoned by everyone. You are forsaken. You will suffer. And
Yeah, and
that's just the
I don't know
crappy
what
life of Jesus.
I don't know what you were like taught growing up. I don't really necessarily know your background, but we were always told that each of those gospels was written to a different group of people, and that's why they were so different. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I just know that was what I was indoctrinated with and how I was told to read them. And maybe that was just so that I did not question the discrepancies between them or how they were so different. Like, I don't know, but that's what I was told.
Sounds pretty standard, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, like, the scholarly story is that Mark was the first gospel, and Matthew and Luke pulled 90% of their material directly from Mark. So that's why they call them synoptic or whatever, because Matthew and Luke are heavily influenced by Mark. But here's the crazy part. So the stuff that they put in there on their own that they didn't get from Mark is all completely different from each other. But that just goes to show you that the story's not lining up. You know what I mean? They're using this story from that and this story from that.
Yeah,
And it just don't make any sense. Like, the birth narratives are completely skewed. They're totally different.
Yeah, and that's really difficult to reconcile because, like, if today something went on and you had 4 people and you were counting on 4 eyewitness testimonies and they all disagreed, you can't convict on that.
No,
You know,
it
you'd
has
be
to line
like,
up with something in reality, right? Like,
Yeah.
something has to
yeah,
need more to prove something for sure,
yeah,
or to have any inclination at all that's not just people talking shit. Because we know we do that. We know people make up gods. We know people change gods that aren't supposed to be changed. I mean, we know all this stuff for sure. So
yeah,
it has to be set straight. You know,
yeah.
if you're
And
gonna
like,
have knowledge based information.
yeah, and for me, like, I'm like, well, I'm one of those people that's like, oh man, well, the fear of hell that is so ingrained in us as Christians. Like, every single thing in my church was, you're going to go to hell, you're going to go to hell, you're going to go to hell. And so, like,
Same.
that's just the running thing in the back of my head. And I have watched people grapple on their deathbed that have tried their best. Like my mom, all her life, I really resented Christianity when my mom passed 7 years ago, because my mom was a really good-hearted person and she was on her deathbed scared she was going to hell. And I was like, wait a minute, something here isn't making sense. If she is still scared and she did her best all her life, what am I doing? Like, it's, I don't know.
I think that's why most people get baptized multiple times. It's because they
Oh,
want to make sure they
dude.
did it right.
You do not even know. Yeah. Because I was in a church that unless you are dunked under the water, you are going to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it says, I mean,
I got
depending
to
on
cover
which
my
part of the Bible
bases.
you
Yeah.
go by, but it says you have to basically get dunked in the water and come up with a new spirit.
Yeah.
It's
But
part of the
then there's
process, yeah.
all the verses in the New Testament where it's like, no, you're saved by grace. There's nothing that you can do. It is a free gift. It is nothing that you earned. So then you got, of course, like somebody in the comments said to me earlier, Christians don't agree on anything. And exactly. So what's a person to do? I'm just like, well, I guess I'll do the best that I can. And I don't know. Because what if my son-in-law is a Hindu? And so like, we'll talk about that. If God is good, then why would my son-in-law be punished and have eternal conscious torment simply because he was born in India and has a different value system? Like, would a good God punish my son-in-law, who I love with all my heart, and all these other people that are in another culture? Like, but Westernized Christianity would say, yes, all these people are going to hell. Well, when you actually meet people of different cultures and different faiths, like that really challenges you, because he's a good man and he's got way different beliefs, but he's a better man than most of the Christian men I know. I'm not going to, I'm like, that's something. I don't know. I mean, I still am a spiritual person, but there's times where I just go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, according to this God here,
yeah,
you can conquer whoever the hell you want to. And if anyone entices you or worships other God, you're supposed to destroy everything about them. So, I mean,
know.
Like, where's the love and mercy from this all-loving and all-merciful God? They didn't get it from this book, let me tell you.
Well, and you're right. Like, because when and there's stories in the Old Testament that when I became an adult, was just reading for myself because I like to read, like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, when all those people come to the house and the man throws out his daughter to the men. Yeah.
It gives them a couple virgin daughters to save the men angels.
Yeah. And that's not the only story like that in scripture, where it's like, what? They don't teach you that in school or in Bible class,
That's what Dr. Josh and I talk about this all the time. But these, like, people try to say these laws are good, and like God allowed some of this stuff just to make it better, like it couldn't go away, but it didn't even make it better. You can read law codes from the Near East that are over 1,000 years older than any version of the Levitic law, and they're way more humanitarian than this God allowed here. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, the law code of Hammurabi limited all indentured servitude to 3 years. In the Bible, it's 6 years, and that's only for male Hebrew Israelites. So, like, it made it twice as bad and way worse for everybody but males. So, I mean, you can't even make the argument that they made it better.
No, and it don't jive with the New Testament. Yeah, it's really hard to reconcile.
That's what I'm saying. Whoever wrote the New Testament didn't have a fucking clue what was going on in the Old Testament. They didn't have a damned clue.
I mean, sometimes I just think, was it a bunch of, like nowadays you have just, okay, a Christian can write a book and it's just his opinion. And maybe it's, inspired by his love for God or whatever, but you can find thousands of books with different views. Is that just what the Bible is? Was it some people in the ancient times who just, these people had a similar God view, but they all had their different kind of interpretations in different ways, and it got put together? Because I know there's books that weren't put in there, and then this group of men got together and said, okay, we're going to put these together, and we're going to make this law. We're going to make this be the ones. Like,
well, I mean, the Old Testament's the same. Like, it was added to, it was restructured. Like, there's parts of the Old Testament chronologically are some of the oldest parts, but they're in the newest part of the book.
Oh, man, I hate that.
Vice versa. There's some from the end that are in the front. Like, you never know. But I mean, it's crazy that Christians now think they got it figured out.
Oh, no.
And not even 100 years after Jesus would have been died, there was already hundreds of sects of Christianity in the general area that he lived. So, I mean, if they didn't even have it figured out 100 years after he died, what us now, 2,000 years later,
and
pegging them down? Like, that makes no sense at all. Like, there was people in the 2nd century that thought the resurrection was like a spiritual and metaphorical thing.
Yeah.
Other people thought it was a literal bodily resurrection. You know what I mean?
And I really feel like,
and this was that close.
it's getting worse. Like, I don't know, you probably see it, it's getting worse. Like, in my 52 years, I look at what's happening now, and it is unreal to me, unreal. And it's just unreal.
Well, that's the confusion that this book has caused here. And this is one of the like little tidbits I give all the time. Like, most people would agree that loving your neighbor as yourself is pretty good, right? So that's in Leviticus chapter 19. The problem is, if you flip a few books later, God's making them eat their neighbor. So,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
gets
Yeah.
a bit confusing. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we supposed to
Yes.
love our neighbor or eat them in some cases? Like, this is no good. You know what I mean? Like, this should be taught as mythology. It should be taught as the mythology that it obviously is. Not obvious to everybody, obviously, but
Well, and
this should just be obvious mythology.
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I can't totally disagree. And probably what I go back to is, and I don't mean to use that, I think they call it the watchmaker fallacy or whatever, because, but like I would talk to, do you ever, there's a YouTube that I debate on anyways. But I kind of just go, I have a problem of where did it all come from, right? I go back to that. I'm like, I just had a new grandbaby 4 days ago, and I just look at him and he is the most perfect little thing. And I just think, man, how did that just happen? But then the more I listen to Christians debate and we go, well, something can't come from nothing. Well, then where did God come from? We can't use that argument anymore. If something can't come from nothing,
you can use it all you want. It's just not gonna.
It don't make
gain
sense.
Any more credibility? Yeah.
Yes, it's confusing. Anyways, well, good talk, man.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you came up. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for asking me questions. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go. Take care.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one, Miss Janet.
You too.
Yeah, her name. I'll drop you back there. Yeah, that was cool. Miss Janet, she got it there, don't she? An error, if you're still there, fucking thank you, man. You're the fucking man, dog. All right. I tell you what, we will try. I don't have super much longer. That's weird. Anyway, we'll try one more person here. We'll give it another, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna have to. Well, if they're even still here, I will. But... Oh, yeah, it's still here. I think. Oh, James, you there?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, Mom.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Just
You're
thinking
over
that-
18?
How about sir?
Are you over 18?
Yes, I'm 35.
Cool. I'm assuming you're a Christian from the cross there, but go ahead, say whatever you were saying. I got to confirm your age for TikTok.
All right, of course. I would like to talk about Jesus fulfilled zero prophecy.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got a few verses from the Bible, that proves that he did fulfill the prophecies.
Okay, what you got?
Well, first off, like one everyone knows, he was born of a virgin from Isaiah 7:14 in Bethlehem, Micah 5:2 as well. Is then I can't say it. Sorry, my words are dyslexic a wee bit. Lineage, he descendant of King David, Jeremiah 23:5. So that's another one. Do you want me to slow down or anything, or?
Yeah, let's. I don't have super long, but you brought up at least a couple really good ones. You did bring up Bethlehem, right? Micah 5.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's read that actual prophecy real quick. That's from Micah chapter 5, and it starts in verse 2. And it says, "But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are one of the little clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to rule in Israel, whose origin is from old, from ancient days." So here it's saying, But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are one of the little clans of Judah. So this is calling Bethlehem a clan and not a town.
Okay. See your point.
Yeah, so I'm saying Matthew seems to be misquoting this because it doesn't say Bethlehem the town. It says Bethlehem the clan, Bethlehem of Ephrathah specifically, which is the
Yeah.
ancient line of David. But even if that part did say the town of Bethlehem, it would have to say, but you, O Bethlehem, who are one of the towns of Judah, from you shall come forth from me one who is to rule in Israel. So either way, Jesus wasn't a ruler in Israel either.
Have you got any scholars to back that up?
Got what?
Any Bible scholars to back that up? That claim?
Yeah, Dan McClellan.
Okay.
Yeah, Bart Ehrman.
Yeah, well, he's
Joshua Bowen.
he's an atheist. But anyway, and the lineage, the descendant of King David. That's another one.
Well, that's
Jeremiah.
what this is talking about.
No, Jeremiah 23:5.
Right. Well, Jeremiah says a few times that the one who is to rule them is to be raised from the Israelites among them, from the exiles. But either way, this is saying the same thing in Micah. It's saying you have to come from the line of David and you have to rule in Israel. But Jesus
and he
never
did.
ruled in Israel.
Yes, not in the way you think. Well, like,
Well, how do kings rule?
yeah, like an actual like earthly king, but
Yeah.
he came and
That's what David was, right?
Yeah, of course. But
so you got to be the
yeah.
king of Israel to be this Messiah. That's what a Messiah is. It's a king.
Yeah, but he came to be like king of like Christianity, basically. That's what it means.
No, the king of the Israelites.
It don't say that specifically.
It does. That's what Jeremiah is talking about. Hold on, I'll show you. I think it was in 29. It says it. Wait a minute. Which one? Which one in Jeremiah were you talking about?
The descendant of the King David.
Yeah. Yeah. Which chapter and verse was that in Jeremiah?
Jeremiah 23:5.
Oh, 23. Okay, never mind. That's a different one than I was thinking.
No problem.
Yeah, the righteous branch of David. The days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as a king, and deal wisely, and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah will be saved, and Israel will live in safety. In this name which he will be called, the Lord is our righteousness.
Yep.
So this is about a ruler who has to bring peace and safety to the Israelites from the throne of David. Like, Jesus clearly never did that.
Oh, yeah, in an earthly manner, but he came and he did rule over people.
He didn't do it in any manner.
In a sense, he did rule as a king.
Yeah, but what's the context of Jeremiah here? This is talking about a righteous branch from David that's going to be raised up from among the exiles in Babylon. And they're going to rule Israel and bring justice and righteousness to the land from the throne of David. So, I mean, the throne of David is a literal thing. Like,
yeah, I disagree with that, bro. Respectfully, I disagree with that because he did come to rule as a king, but not the king of like Israel, but the Israelite. Like come to bring a new kingdom, basically.
It is a new kingdom, a new Jerusalem. That's the whole point of the Old Testament. They rebuild Jerusalem after God destroys it before the exile, and they rebuild it after the exile. That's what Jeremiah is about.
Okay, fair enough.
That's like if you read the second part of that, it says, "Therefore the days are surely coming, says the Lord, when it shall no longer be said, as the Lord lives, who brought the people of Israel up out of the land of Egypt, but as the Lord lives, who brought out and led the offspring of the house of Israel out of the land of the north and out of the lands where he had driven them. Then they shall live in their own land. The land he drove them to was Babylon. He gave them into the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar, and he made them slaves for 70 years. And he says, after the end of the 70 years, we're going to go back to Zion and we're going to rebuild it. And he has Cyrus free them and lay the foundations of the temple. So this is all rebuilt after the exile. That's what this is talking about. So to fulfill this prophecy, you have to be from the line of David, and you have to be an actual ruler in Israel. You have to sit on that throne, according to Jeremiah.
Yes, he's coming back to sit in that throne, which is in the Bible. To be the ruler of the world, basically.
Yeah.
He's coming back to rule. Not now, not at that time.
Well, I mean, if Jesus does come back and sit on the throne of David, then we can call him the Messiah. But you're not a Messiah until you actually fulfill the role of a Messiah. You can't just call somebody a Messiah because you think they're going to be a Messiah one day. Like, it don't work like that.
But God is spirit. That's the thing, Yes, Jesus came in a body, but he's gone. But anyways, there's more. That's not the only one.
Yeah, what about the Isaiah 7 one?
At the what, sorry?
Isaiah 7, prophecy about the virgin birth of a Messiah.
Oh yes, he'll be called Wonderful Counselor.
That's not Isaiah 7, but it's in Isaiah.
Isaiah 7:14. I'll have to bring it up there.
Yeah, in Matthew chapter 1, he quotes Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, and he says Jesus is fulfilling this prophecy about a Messiah being born from a virgin.
Yeah, which is in the Old Testament. Yeah, it's still prophecy. And he did fulfill
Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14.
Yeah, he fulfilled that. You can't
Jesus?
say he can't, because he did. So
he didn't.
Hi.
What did he fulfill?
He was born of a virgin.
There's no prophecy about that in Isaiah chapter 7.
Okay. I will check that up. Give us a few seconds, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. I ain't got super long, but...
Okay. Just let me know how long you need.
Well, I mean... I'm on here every day, so if anything, like, read it really good overnight and come back tomorrow and we can talk about it some more.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, brother.
But the point of this is if you actually read Isaiah chapter 7, it says this is about the Assyrian invasion into Judah. The one and only role that this child called Emmanuel even plays is being a timeline for when King Ahaz and Judah are going to be saved from Assyria. And this is 750 years before Jesus. It doesn't even say there's a virgin there that's going to give birth to a Messiah. It just says this young woman, who is Isaiah's wife, is going to have a child. And by the time this child knows how to tell right from wrong, the two kings who are attacking Judah are going to have their lands deserted, and you'll be free. You'll be safe from them, which actually happens in chapter 8.
Okay.
So this prophecy is fulfilled in the next chapter. It has nothing to do with a Messiah. It doesn't say virgin.
Okay. Well, what I'm reading here, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us.
Right. Was Jesus' name Emmanuel?
It's just God is with us. Yes, he was named Emmanuel. Yes, he had many names.
Oh, well, whoever once in the Bible calls Jesus Emmanuel?
They didn't call him Emmanuel, but he was called.
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
nobody nowhere ever called him that.
It means
it's pretty wild, ain't it?
It doesn't mean you have to call him exactly Emmanuel.
Well, it says you will call him Emmanuel. Does anybody call Jesus God is with us?
Yeah, well, people do call him God, so I mean, Thomas
Yeah, but you're
called
not
him
getting
God?
to the prophecy there. Like, but the point is that Emmanuel's not a Messiah in the actual context of Isaiah. They are not saying this child is a Messiah. It's just a timeline for when Assyria is going to be saved from Judah. And then in the next chapter, there's another child that's born, and Isaiah literally says those are his sons. So I mean, it's clearly not Jesus or about Jesus contextually.
Well,
It can't
that's
be.
that's your opinion, bro, and
That's
I
what I'm saying.
respect your opinion.
I hear you. No, I hear you. Read it really, really good tonight. Like start at verse 1 and read all the way through
Okay, I'll
at
do that.
least verse 17 there.
Okay.
Cool, man. Yeah, I appreciate
Like
you
I'm
coming up, buddy.
open-minded, but I know Jesus is God, but like I'll be open-minded about it. Okay, I'll be unbiased. You know.
Cool. But yeah, I appreciate you coming up, man. This is my 97th day in a row of streaming, and I'll be back tomorrow too, I imagine. So, yeah, check that out. Study it really good, and then come back. We'll hear you out when you're really studied up on the context of Isaiah. You'll like it, I think. It's pretty good. Make sure you read chapter 8 too while you're at it, though. That'll be fun. Anyway, guys, I have got to run on for the day, but y'all know him, y'all saw him. Our biggest homeboy of the channel, Dr. Joshua Bowen, he dropped in for a bit. So don't forget, you can purchase some of his amazing knowledge in the form of a book on Audible, Amazon. They're on both. You can check those out. Don't forget about the Rocket City Reason Conference going down this October. And you can get your tickets for that at rocketcityreason.com. Also, don't forget I got a YouTube channel that I put these replays on there every day. And this was a really good episode, so it's pretty awesome. And this will be on there later if y'all want to check that out. Wait, hold on, I saw some more. 2 seconds here. Oh, never mind. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all the guests today, everybody coming up. And we will see y'all again tomorrow. I don't know who to go raid right now because I can't check, but wherever you go, tell them the 8th century there. Anyway, guys, see y'all tomorrow.